So we are live.
Here we are.
How's it going, Mason?
Hi, Jake. Good to see you, buddy. Friend,
Good
as
to see you.
we're chatting with friends tonight. I like that title, so it's nice.
Multiple.
Sure, people in the chat are friends too. Absolutely.
Yes. Um. So what's going on with you, Mason? How are the? I mean, I guess to before we jump into that, the plan tonight, guys, is just to hang out. If you guys want to ask us questions, go for it. Feel free to also just like hang out in the chat, obviously amongst yourselves. We have no real plan, just sort of catching up, talking about what's going on in our lives, talking about the Pokemon market, I'm sure a little bit here and there. Yeah, just thought it'd be nice to put out a video where people can hang out. So Mason, what's going on with you? What's going on with the store these days with your
Man,
new location?
yeah, it's just a busy time. Summer's normally slow, but Magic, Pokemon, everybody's just pumping out product right now. So a lot of things just being rapid fired at me and at everybody all at the same time. So yeah, just really busy, a lot going on. Yeah, just a fun time to be peddling cardboard. So um, how you been? How you been with all this wonderful time that you have? How you been spending it the past couple weeks?
It's been good. It's been good. My girlfriend and I, we've been spending quite a bit of time with friends and playing board games and hanging out. During the day, I've been doing a lot of buying and selling and kind of studying the market, learning different markets. I've been spending a lot of time. I'm actually taking like 3 courses right now on basic sort of corporate finance,
Oh, great.
real estate, and bookkeeping, accounting courses. So I've been taking. So during the day, I spend about 4 or 5 hours a day on those, and then I do probably 4 or 5 hours a day on like Pokemon and Star Wars and Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic and the different card related stuff. And then at night we've been like hanging out with friends a lot, so it's been really nice.
That sounds intense. That is wild.
I am thinking of taking a job pretty soon, potentially. So,
what? I thought you were slowing down. It sounds like you're doing more now than ever.
Well, the core stuff is really relaxing because I get to like just do it at my own pace.
Yeah,
and,
nothing more relaxing than bookkeeping and real estate. Yeah, let me tell you, it all sounds tons of fun.
The bookkeeping accounting is I have to say is very, very boring for me. I have to pause it a lot and then like take a moment to refocus my brain because I'm thinking about something else. The other stuff though, I really enjoy, and it's like I find it like it's like it's pretty entertaining to like listen to, and I like the concepts.
Well, I knew you probably couldn't stay not busy for long. So good for you though. Expanding, looking into different things. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I love to work and do and like learn. I love learning stuff, and if I'm not traveling,
that sounds better. Yeah.
If I'm not, like, I love to travel too, but if I'm not traveling, then why do I want to just like sit and do nothing? Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, I really feel the whole, better yourself all the time. I get it.
It's just more fun. Like it's interesting. Like I like to be engaged in things and interested in things.
Yeah, it's fulfilling. It's gives you purpose. I feel it.
Yeah.
No, good for you. That's awesome.
And I want to do all sorts of like investing in companies and real estate, and so all of this stuff is going to be good for me to to know and to get engaged in a little bit more some of the terminology. And the job I might take would be like an analyst in that arena. So I was working initially as an analyst on very big deals, and then eventually I'd be wanting to take my own money and doing the deals myself with my own money eventually. Basically, would be the long term game plan.
That's smart. That's smart. Start off with other people's monies first. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, and
Well,
then.
and I don't have $100 million,
Oh
so
yeah,
so whereas when you manage other people's money, it's actually quite. It's not. Although $100 million might sound like a lot to people, it's actually not that much when you're managing like lots of people's money at once, and
yeah. I mean, it's
so
if you screw up, they won't even miss it. Yeah, you're right.
so
Oh, that's great though. I love it.
yeah. So it's been interesting, and yeah, I have like my dream is to make a bunch of money and then give a bunch of that to my girlfriend who would start like a nonprofit, and then she'd be able to like, because she is very good at like operations and running things, and
Okay.
has always wanted to do, like she when you work for government or when you work in large offices, there's always a lot of it's always kind of slow. There's always a lot of red tape. You kind of have to work your way up. Whereas if I could do that for her, then she'd be able to kind of hire her own team and would be like potentially like a lot more fun and a lot more effective at actually like doing things. So that would be the dream. So we'll see. But whether or not it comes to fruition, it's fun to kind of go after something.
Yeah. Any sort of like goal for a nonprofit? Like what part of the world are we saving?
She's done a lot of different things, but she's interested in disaster relief in
Oh
particular.
God.
So
Okay.
she got a
Okay.
master. She has her master's in public health and is interested in like terror, like some man-made stuff like terrorism,
Good Lord. Okay.
and disaster relief around that. She's also interested in like natural disaster relief. So those would be maybe areas, but I think honestly, like she's more interested in just running operations that helps a lot of different things, that would do a lot of different things, and would probably hire a lot of people who are very passionate about very like specific worthy causes that were actually like very good at what they did. Like the ideal thing would be to like hire really excellent experts at things and actually pay them extremely well to actually do something that would really help. Like that,
You know,
that's the dream.
I was expecting, like saving puppies or, saving the kids in Africa or, getting water. No, just straight up just literally save the world. Okay, cool. That's awesome.
So how are your stores going, man? What's up?
Uh I mean, a weird time for the market right now. I mean,
Yeah,
again, tons of product just being thrown at my customers when they just don't have as much money to go around as typical. So, um I believe the word for this time, just in general, is consolidation. Things were kind of loosey goosey, and people were throwing around money wherever they wanted to, and just having to tighten up a little bit and focus on making sure you got all your bills paid, and then maybe if you got a little bit extra, throw it at your hobbies. But right now, yeah, it's definitely uh, not as fast and loose as it has been. So, um, a little concerning. Not a great time to be trying to move stuff and buy, sell, trade. But here we are. So we're gonna try to make it work and see how it goes.
yeah,
Hopefully, things are gonna hopefully smooth out here. Maybe get a little better. Um, I don't know if this is the bottom, but you know, uh, it is always like a ripple effect when people um, you know get comfortable and spending money like they have been, and then you kind of get caught and catch yourself and going, oh wait, I normally have all this money right now. What happened to it? So you kind of gotta after the fact kind of rein it in. What people are kind of used to doing, and businesses too. I mean, we were spending money on just things improving the store, not necessarily things we needed, or just new fixtures, upgrading this, upgrading that. Buying know a laptop for this, or if we want to do buy a new camera or something. But a lot of that is stopped, and then turning around going, okay, do we really need to buy that? Okay, let's get rid of that, or slim it down where we can, and just trying to run a little tighter ship. So that's really where the focus is right now with how things are going. So as people do that in their normal lives, businesses are having to do that too. So um, that's just the way things are going.
Yeah, it's my hope is that people planned, right, for it, and that businesses are not so tight. Like, I'm sure that there are many businesses, right, that banked maybe too aggressively on the Pokemon market continuing to go up or to continue to do what it was doing. And so they made risky decisions, we could say, or just, decisions where they really pushed their business as hard as it possibly could, leverage as much as possible. You feel like you're in that boat, Mason, truly?
Um,
I would
well,
hope. Yeah.
businesses are weird because
Yeah.
profit, you don't want profit, you want to spend. So when things are good, you want to be spending that money too, hopefully back into the business to help grow it, right? So, you know, uh, we bought all things that we were using and need to use. And as we grow our business and get bigger, we need to buy things, not just to keep growing and make different moves in different areas, but also with all the profits, we have to spend it or else we get taxed on it. So that's the idea of trying to kind of looking for things to buy, late last year before tax time hit, at the end of the year. So trying to throw money somewhere because otherwise it gets taxed. And then now it's more of like, okay, we spent all that money. Maybe we need to start moving things around or offloading some things as revenue is not what it is or has been. My sales monthly have probably been we're down probably 25%, pretty much across everything, um, and that is normal even for this time of year. That's normal. That's a normal thing. Again, summer is traditionally the slowest time, typically right after tax season, and that's time in between summer, and then normally picks back up, October-ish, as we go into holidays and people getting cooler outside and things like that. People start spending more time indoors. It's pretty normal to see this. So um, not running around with our heads cut off yet, but we'll see how these next couple months go. Huh? We'll see what happens. Sales wise, at least for card singles and things like that, still very strong. I feel. I don't know if you're seeing that because I know you're buying and selling. You were saying um, these are still relatively moving. I haven't had any issues with moving anything crazy. Obviously, for not as much, but um, still plenty of buyers out there that are kind of seems like happy to see these prices come back down a little bit and finally able to pick up some things. I've had people say that, thank God this is coming down. I can finally buy it and fill that gap. So that's good to see.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just in my business, I'm constantly trying to flip things, so I'm not sitting on things, and they don't like. I'm not down on anything in particular because all my single wise, it's relatively new stock. I've moved all that stuff that I've bought at the high and already offloaded it. This is more of just like probably stuff that's been sitting around, maybe haven't been really liquid. I'm just trying to sell off, real quick and get rid of, just try to free up capital. But the more expensive stuff is all relatively new stuff that I've had in. In fact, I'm running into an issue of not having enough product, especially single wise. It just seems like I'm not getting a lot of those trades in. So
Mhm.
that's been an interesting thing to see.
Yeah.
Where you think people would have been selling off all kinds, has not really been the case, at least in the past month or so, which is weird. Weird to see.
It's
What do you
interesting.
think? Have you seen anything like that?
So I probably get 5 messages a week people looking to sell me stuff,
Yeah.
I would say. Um, and I'm very much, I don't ever like tell people to reach out to me. I don't say on my channel, if you're selling something, I'm, uh, the person reach out to. So the fact that I'm getting five, I mean, it feels at the height, I might have gotten 10
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are
a
you
week,
at the
maybe.
at the peak?
But
What were you seeing?
but
But
I
yeah,
have very small, I don't do a lot of that. I mean, I'm the vast, vast, vast majority of stuff I'm buying privately. I'm not buying, people don't know that they're selling to me if they would know me.
sure.
I'm
Yeah,
just buying on eBay, I'm buying in other places. Um, and as far as selling's been fine, basically.
it,
I mean,
I agree with that. Yeah,
I'm also not trying to sell a ton of stuff. So it's not, and I'm not in a huge, like, I'm not in a rush. I mean, my concern is mostly for other people um, in this market, for businesses,
sure,
for small businesses, for small content creators and streamers who are hoping to make this their full-time profession, or pay a decent part of their bills. I'm more concerned just for the overall economy, the recession, people losing jobs, and more of a macro level. That's where most of my concern is at. I think that, of course, there's great opportunity comes from this type of stuff, and it's great learning experiences, and businesses and individuals that can sort of like survive these periods or navigate these periods will come off at the other side like much wiser on how these types of things function and work. And then also, like, there'll be growth periods, at the end of this, whether it's in this or in other things, non-Pokemon things, but it's it, it can be unpleasant if you didn't plan for it, is the reality.
sure.
Um,
Yeah,
and now it's sort of like you're in it, and so now you kind of have to try to survive it or find ways to kind of get through it. You don't want to be in whatever you're doing, just generally speaking, you don't want to have to sell items that you really care about to pay bills. It sucks. You don't want to have to sell items that you bought at 5 times the value now because you have to pay a bill. Like, it
sure.
stinks.
Yeah,
And, it's going to bring obviously like negativity into the space that's happening. I also think that I've seen some videos and people coming out saying like, people don't like Pokemon that much. People don't like this stuff that much. People, it was sort of all influencers. It was all fad, talking about this market. These people are not actually in the Pokemon market. They're more in like the sports, they don't, they're really, there were people who kind of bought into it at the height who didn't even like it. And now are sort of getting burned and selling it and flipping their cards. And they're now, after they've sold, coming out and saying the market's doomed, the market's bad, all these types of things. Very interesting to see that. Um, that type of thing is not a sustainable. Uh, those people are going to be in and out at the wrong times. Generally speaking, in any market that they go into with that sort of mindset or attitude.
is there a
Uh,
term for people that do that in most markets? Is there a name for that kind of activity
not
other
that
than like
in my head.
bandwagoners or like whatever?
Yeah, I mean, people who were buying first edition PSA high graded Charizards and offering 90, 80,000, and now are coming out saying, I wouldn't pick one up at 20. It's
Right.
stupid. And people who are still buying are idiots. It's like, no, my friend, like, you're the idiot. Like you're the one who never liked it, was willing to pay a huge price at the top, and now that things are a lot lower, now you're not willing to all of a sudden, and your analysis makes no sense, and your thinking is incredibly illogical. So, I mean, you definitely should not buy it now either, because you don't understand this market at all and you just follow hype things. But it's much better to buy it now than it was a year ago. Um, so anyone who felt like it was really good to buy a year ago and it's not good to buy right now, or it's worse to buy right now, needs to take a nice long look in the mirror and have a conversation with themselves and I'm just going to be blunt. You don't know how to invest in things. Like you don't, because the overall sentiment and the market analysis of the long term of Pokemon should not shift based on based on this period right now. And basically people were the prisoner of the moment then and are now the prisoner of the moment now, rather than having a like I've had the same perspective the entire way through, which is that this is not a big multinational company. So when you are investing in Pokemon cards, there's much more risk in my opinion, than buying into big multinational companies that have great moats. Now those companies have risk too, but but that risk existed at the whole time, the whole time through it, right? So
Right. Yeah.
it's when you were buying at those really high prices and completely ignoring that risk, that was very stupid. Buying at the low prices while you understand that risk, but you still think that there's really good potential upside, which I believe there is, that's just you're just choosing to make that gamble, is what I would say, understanding the risk and thinking about this market like that. Now, for collectors, um, just buy when you can afford things over time and don't stress out so much and try to block out the noise. Try to focus on your careers and your families and your job and treat this as what it should be, which is fun. And I think the vast majority of people do that and experience that, but don't get too caught up, I would say. Um, some unasked for advice, I guess, and try not to get too caught up in the investing concepts and think more about what you can afford and
Sure.
about studying the market to understand like when is a decent time to buy things. Like when are you going to get the best value? I think is sensible as someone who likes to not spend as little as money as possible on their collection. But
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask, those guys that have been here, do truly enjoy their collections, and we all saw prices, and you're like, man, now I'll never be able to afford that card. I'm priced out at that point. Uh, as prices settle back down, what do you tell those people that really want a card, but it's still maybe higher than what it was, maybe 2 years ago? But do you tell them it's would be a good idea to make a move on it now, or are we still waiting a little bit before we pull the trigger on it? What would you say to somebody?
well, it's a very personal question based on what their financial situation would be like. What I would do if I had their money. Uh, I can just speak for myself, like what I do, what
Sure.
I'm doing right now. I'm buying in my situation, and that
All right. There you go.
that should speak for. But again, there's some potential upside. But I love this stuff. I'm a collector.
Right.
I'm comfortable enough with the market where I'm buying into it now, and I'm comfortable enough financially that I can afford to do that. And I'm comfortable with it going down and then being able to buy even more.
Okay.
So
Let me
you
ask
know what I
you
mean?
this.
I'm not buying
Right.
it expecting uh consistent growth from here on
Sure.
out, like I'm buying like I'm buying stocks and other sorts of things that I'm looking more to generate long-term wealth. Now, the flipping game and all these types of things, like, you can make a lot of money doing that in any
Yeah.
market,
And
including
and that's different from what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the person that's had a collection for a long time, has really been into this,
yeah,
rode the over the hump of the big boom here, and there's still. Would you say that there's bargains to be had right now?
sure, but I think that I think that, like, for me personally, right, like, I still really enjoy this stuff, so it's definitely worth it for me to buy, but I was having a conversation with some people in the office hour this week. We were talking about, like, addiction. We were talking about, like, are you still enjoying this, or does it feel like it's unpleasant because you're just sort of after that dopamine high of buying, which, isn't necessarily a problem until it is, but I think it's always good to reflect on, like, you don't have to buy Pokemon cards, everyone out there. You don't have to collect, like, it's something that you choose to do because it brings some enjoyment and positivity into your life. And, if you can invest and flip and make money off of it and that brings some positivity into your life too, that's phenomenal, right? Like, I do that. A lot of
Sure.
us do that. But that's very much my attitude towards it. It's not like, don't do anything in like intense panic or anxiety. Don't
Sure.
quit out of panic and anxiety forever and storm away. Also, don't like buy every single thing. Like, that'd be my general
Yeah,
thing.
that's great. That's great stuff. You said you had office hours. Is that on the Patreon Discord at patreon.com/Pokenomics_? Is that
That's
where they would be able to find you and every week get you for an hour to ask you literally any question that they would want to in your Discord?
yes.
Fantastic. And does Dan have that same offering as well every week?
Yes. Dan
Fantastic.
Collectibles has it as well on Thursday. So we try
Wow.
to.
What an absolute deal to be able to just ask anybody anything at any time for an hour a week. That's fantastic. What a fantastic bargain at patreon.com
That'd be
slash Pokenomics_. What a deal, man. Anyways,
Yeah. No, and we're appreciative of that, and appreciative people are supporting. And no, I mean, it is important, and I'm doing this too. Like, I'm buying from businesses that I care about in the Pokemon space. I'm buying from businesses in my local community that I care about. Like, you know, but only if you have the money and it's comfortable. Like, a lot of people, and I've had this conversation with a few people, should be unsubscribing from my Patreon potentially right now if the $10 extra a month would feel more comfortable or would be better. And so but understand that, like, if you get value, it's very much appreciated. And you supporting us, you supporting people like Mason, you supporting everyone you support, help support everyone who's like creating places where people can like talk and hang out, and it keeps these communities going. So um but I would love to lower the price, but that's where the price is at for now until we get bigger, much bigger. So
well, I mean, price, for you and Dan and everybody else that's in the Discord, I mean, you break down head for head. I mean, shoot, that's pennies per person, Jake. I mean, that's totally worth it. Don't sell yourself short.
yeah, man, it's worth it for people who have an interest in this and want to be engaged in a community of people who, yeah, I mean, as I've said before, we don't. Let's move on. Sell us any harder, but like, I would sign up for my own Patreon in a heartbeat. Like,
What a quote! What a quote!
I mean, it's true. $10
Jake would
a month.
sign up for Pokenomics Patreon.
If I was in the first year of my Pokemon journey, or the first couple of years, for sure. And I was super into this, and I was spending any sort of money, and I wanted to be engaged with people who were like honest and wanted to help me. Yeah, I would sign up for sure. Like, but but there's a lot of free advice, and not everyone thinks that our advice is necessarily worth that much more than other people. People can decide that for themselves, or our opinions or our ideas. And also, Dan and I we do so much content that's for free that for a lot of people that's plenty and that's enough. And it also takes time to engage in that. And so for me, was so obsessive and spent so much time that it would make sense. For other people, it definitely doesn't make sense. And people who consume like a tiny bit a week, it would make no sense. So
Sure, sure.
yeah,
Um,
but yeah,
I
let's
just
move
think
on from
I,
selling it.
well, I think it's important that people,
Yeah.
again, if you are interested in that, if you want opinions from even just like-minded people, not just necessarily to talk to you, but just to anybody that's in there,
Yeah.
just get perspective on hobbies. That's a great place and a great use of that space.
Yeah, and we have some other, a lot of really experienced people who are happy to share their knowledge, like there are in other places too. But yeah.
For sure. Absolutely.
All right. But yeah, appreciate Mason. You've always been a supporter, and I appreciate that. And likewise, I very much support
Yes,
your business,
absolutely.
and you know, at the risk of sounding just like those, I mean, we actually believe what we're saying.
Yeah, we're not just
Well,
we're not
well,
just wafting in our own farts here. You know, we do genuinely enjoy each other's company.
yeah. Um, all right. So I don't know anything else on the market right now. I think the conversation we were having before about sort of what's going on with you is very interesting. I don't know how much you want to share about the pressure that this period may put on you, or if things get worse. Like, I don't know if you want to share like details of your business. I'm sure people would be interested to hear any and anything you'd be willing to share. But definitely, no pressure if you sort of shared what you wanted to.
I mean, if you wanted to ask me like specific questions in the chat, I'd be more than happy to throw stuff out there. I just don't know. I don't know what people would want to hear.
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know what.
I have a question for you,
Sure, hit me.
and feel free to just not answer it if it's too personal to the business. But like a question I'd be interested, and if you and I are talking alone, I'd ask would be like, what percentage were you profiting before this period, and what percentage are you profiting now? So, like, what margin were you generally making before on things, and what margin are you still making on things, generally speaking, now across the business? Like, how
Ah,
has the margin shrunk?
well, margins have shrank in general just because of the shipping situation and how things are right now. Uh, I got my recent pallet of pallet. It wasn't on a pallet, but of Pokemon Go just came from three distributors. I had stuff come in, and my main distributor was like, "Well, it's at the weight that it should be going on a pallet, but let me see what they say because it might be actually cheaper for us to send it just UPS instead of paying a shipping company." And again, this is only from Nashville. It would be cheaper to they found it to be cheaper to send it UPS than to pay a freight company to send a pallet. That's how messed up the shipping situation with gas prices and fuel surcharges and all that stuff. That's where we're at right now with a lot of things in shipping. I've even had people locally, you know, uh, I don't want to go down there or drive 20 minutes to your store. Can you just ship it to me? It's going to be cheaper than me in gas and going back forth. And it does. It makes sense to pay the $4 in shipping to ship something to somebody as opposed to the just the gas fee. And just as we all get more and more used to the online ordering, and we've all gotten used to that the past couple of years, uh, it just makes more sense to just pay out a little bit more for the shipping or whatever and have it to your door instead of driving around and running around and trying to get things or shop for deals, especially locally. If you can support somebody locally and just say, yeah, just ship it to my house, it's fine. And you're still helping out small businesses, and then you're also getting it faster because ship in the same town, it takes a day, the next day potentially. Like it's the equivalent to buying from Amazon at that point. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, I mean, just a lot of things as we ride things up and down. Again, I was paying a lot more for a lot of the things that I stock. So like I do a lot with, let's just say, Gundams. Gundams have been a pretty good little sector for my store.
Mhm.
Margins on those are traditionally not great, but depending on what model it is and how big it is, again, shipping and all those things factoring into that, there's a lot of things that I was selling locally. I was able to sell cheaper than it would be on Amazon to ship it for somebody selling on there, or if they ordered it from another company somewhere. And there's a big Gundam place in Florida that ships, worldwide. Still potentially cheaper to buy it from me locally than it would be on Amazon, because not only was a big thing with scalping, just because the lack of shipments from Japan for a while, but just in general, all things considered, if you're wanting to hunt around and the popularity for things still to do in your home, in your downtime that, that you wouldn't otherwise be doing if you were going out in public and stuff like that, what we did several years ago. We've all kind of gotten used to these more reclusive lifestyles, and a lot of those hobbies are still very popular. And the effects of that are still being felt just because kind of got used to it, sitting around the house and just hanging out and being with family or people that are close to you. So a lot of that factors into how people spend their hobby dollars. A lot of that factors into my margins and things that I charge for things. So it's definitely I mean, every week it's different, and every month and year, the hobby and business of this type of hobby constantly changes. Ups, downs, sideways, all that. It's always different. But yeah, a lot of the margins are definitely getting tighter, have been tighter. A lot of distribution prices have gone up, and of course they're never going to come down. Um, the price for the next Pokemon set of Lost Origins, I've lost my nice, pretty low cost for per booster box. That is no longer a thing. It is now a flat $85 per box across the board for everybody. So that sucks, but that is the way we're going. The economy's bad when Konami's raising Yu-Gi-Oh pack prices and booster box prices. I mean, the boxes have not moved in price in forever, and the smaller box size, you're buying and selling those, paying 45 and selling them for 60 in store. Now they're creeping up almost 25% up to $80 for Yu-Gi-Oh boxes now, and of course we're not still paying the 45. That goes up too. So yeah, it's just all that stuff is really really going up a lot. Just the other day, I bought, because I'm out of Astro Radiance boxes. I didn't have any at all, so I actually bought a couple cases from Squeaks Game World, because he actually had some for a decent price. And I know he's been busy, so I actually reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, can I still get these at this price? I want to make sure that these aren't too low." And he's like, "No, no, it's fine." So I bought a couple cases from him, and then of course next week I'm getting 50 boxes from my distributor at my regular price. So of course I paid $100 per box from Squeaks, but then I getting them for my normal price. So I'll have to eat those, but yeah, that's just the way things are having to be and how we're having to do things right now, just to, again, just to keep those tiny margins for booster boxes. If I only make $15-$20 a booster box, I have to stock it to keep that money flowing and keep the revenue coming in. So having no boxes, and this is the mantra of the past year of my channel, right, is that I have to have things on the shelf for people to buy, or else the cash flow stops. So even in this economy as it is now, yes, I'm having to go out on the secondary market and buy things and sell it for more in my store so I can have it in my store. That's the way the game is being played still. So
Yeah, I really feel, and this could end up being dead wrong, but I really feel like if who knows what's happening with these global economic issues, but I really feel if these things get resolved quicker than people fear, or if it goes really badly and we have two very difficult years, I I feel this hobby will be fine on the other
yeah,
side of that
yeah, or
whenever
at least
these sort
as
of
healthy as it was before the boom.
I think it's much healthier. It'll be much
I
bigger,
agree. Yes,
much bigger.
yes,
And I think there'll be I think you're gonna have lots, and you're gonna have so many more businesses and so many more shows, and I just don't see it going back or going to where it was even with this. But
sure.
in the interim, But again, I don't feel as confident about that as I feel about my Berkshire Hathaway stock. So you have to put things in context, but I still believe that, or I feel reasonably confident with that, and I think we've had a great few years of establishing a hobby that's going to be here for a really long time, and cards in general just being more popular and
Sure.
more long lasting, and different types of card games and all sorts of things. Um, and I think there'll be a lot more marketing, a lot more connecting with kids and future generations with all this stuff too. So my sort of long term feeling hasn't shifted, at all. But but it is a tough dose of reality for people, and I'm I am concerned just the ups and downs, um, because we are this market in the short to medium term, because this market does depend on fun
Yeah, absolutely. Are
and
you
pleasure.
talking more like the feast or famine aspect of it? Is that what you mean, or what do you mean when you say?
Yeah, just people getting burned, people
Sure.
having
Yeah.
really negative times, people getting scammed, like the unfortunate stuff that like you have those experiences and then maybe you leave the hobby forever, or there's just sort of more people have a bad taste, so you lose a certain percentage of people who might have been people who, if they had different experiences, would have. But these are things that are impossible to gauge. And for the most part, when people get burned, it doesn't mean they quit something forever. It might mean they need a break. These types of things. But that's where my mindset goes. And then I think, and Chris Sakil and I talked about this a lot on our Pocket Change podcast. A year and a half ago during the
Hmm.
boom, just a lot about how Pokemon had never really been through a cycle like this, versus other more established hobbies. And of course, there was, we 2016 Pokemon booming then, and then 2017 certain things did have in price, but nothing 90% went down. It wasn't like everything went down like this. It was very different, and also the magnitude of having you know, cards that are $10,000 going down to 1,500, going down to 2,000 versus, cards going from 100 to 10. You know, it's
Sure.
also just the
Yeah.
sting of that, the negativity of that, the intensity of that. Um, what that does to an unproductive asset is an interesting sort of thing. Whereas a productive asset, you don't worry about, because although people's psychology for a momentary for a period can be very irrational and be like, this isn't useful or this isn't good anymore, if it's actually useful and good and important, it'll withstand, and then it'll usually rocket back up after people stop behaving irrationally in a pessimistic way. um but with this stuff, it becomes more tied to, our generation. I don't worry, because we grew up with it as kids and we're super connected to it. But other generations, I just think there's a lot left to sort of prove over time, to feel like this is going to feel as solid about this as you might, even other hobbies like sports cards and things like that. But there's also a
Yeah.
lot of upside. So I don't know, just some rambling thoughts, but I think that's where my head is at. Um,
Yeah. And it's important to remember too. Of course, you and I are on different sides of the hobby. I feel, at least when it comes to um, what we buy and sell. Uh, I am less concerned about what the big boys are doing, and my bread and butter is the casuals that come in and still enjoy the game, right? And just want to buy a couple packs here and there couple every week or so, or buy a couple boxes of the newest set or whatever, and enjoy the hobby that way. You know, they could care less what an Illustrator Pikachu sold for last week or last month. That has less of an impact on them
sure.
than other sort of higher end slabbed collectors and things like that. So
And for the
uh,
record, the majority of cards I buy are under $20.
I I know I'm just throwing
But no. What is important is the different sectors of the market. And yes, I care about the whole market, and there are
Yes.
plenty of people who wouldn't care at all. And in
And
that sense, I definitely agree.
that is a major strength of this hobby as well, is that there is so many people in this pyramid of the hobby. We genuinely do have a huge wide base of people that are funneling this stuff and keeping this show rolling, because
Yeah.
without the casuals of the market, the people that do buy the booster boxes so that we can have singles, and and maybe aren't making great financial decisions, but they're having fun and that's what they do to enjoy themselves. That is what that feeds the beast that the rest of us have to uh, worry about continuing set after set.
So here's a question. Just I'm gonna start, I guess, popping them on as we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was I,
someone
I was I
ask
was
questions.
reading,
Go
but
for it.
yeah, I was reading the chat, but
Nice.
I wasn't really addressing anything. So yeah, well, let's roll through some questions here.
Um, so Alec asks, if we are in a part of a market cycle, what time frame would you compare us to now? Could you compare this time in the hobby to somewhere after the Pokemon Go boom? So kind of what I sort of gave my opinion,
Yeah,
you know, on this. I think that the size and the scope is just so much larger. Does it have some of the same? For sure, it has some of the same psychology as people will talk about. You heard people saying Pokemon's dead. You had some of that negativity. You had the positive investment talk and some of sort of the negativity around it for sure. Um, I think it's much more reasonable now to have some of the hesitation than it was then, um, due to the size of the market and the prices. Now, I will also say that this market compared to sports or some other bigger markets or the stock market or crypto market, the amount of money that's there, like it wouldn't take that much more money or interest to cause some, particularly some parts, rare parts of this hobby, or even rare set parts of this hobby, and that can include alt arts potentially, modern rare parts, sets too, to go up in price, a really huge amount over time. It's just about demand. Will that demand be there? You know, um, so I'm not saying that it can't go up the same percentage again. It's just understanding that, like, very very easy for something to go from $50 to $200 or to $300, which is still a tremendous percentage growth, than for that to then 6x again from 300 to 1800, when you think about just like how many people have $1800 to spend on a Pokemon card. So, and
sure.
how many people will ever have that? Now it depends how many of those cards there are. If there's only 100 of those cards, that doesn't feel like that much for an entire world. you could have you could have 10 people who want to own 10 copies each, or whatever. So it when you think about it like that, it becomes much more of like, huh, like that seems reasonable, right? Like, what prices to you out there seem reasonable for some of this stuff? Seem like enough people could afford that based on the number of copies that might be in existence. And then you also have to understand that, like, there's so many card hobbies right now that are printing so many things. There's so many strong IPs that are printing a lot. Will those things eat into the Pokemon market, or do those
Yeah,
things have maybe room to grow, before Pokemon can grow again? There's just a lot of those types of unanswered questions,
yeah,
that I want people to think about, at least.
yeah. I mean, Magic is literally releasing the greatest set they've ever made next week. The next Double Master set is the greatest printings of the most valued cards that we've ever seen in a set. Period. There's a lot of money being funneled into Magic right now, and a lot of people very excited about what's happening in Magic in this next set. I've
Mm.
seen tons of people going from Pokemon to games like Dragon Ball Super, uh, super boxes that have been sitting on my shelves for months. I am now sold out of, and that speaks to where people's attentions are either being diverted to, or as things are slower, or maybe they're not as hype about Pokemon Go. Maybe maybe they're moving over to some other hobbies and other card games and things like that, or other collectibles. Um, Speaking of Pokemon Go, though, I've been thoroughly impressed with how it's done, and at least locally, the amount of people that have come in and have bought Pokemon Go has been very surprising. I'm very happy with the sales. In fact, I'm going to have to go to the warehouse and pick up more so I have enough for the weekend to make it through the rest of the weekend, because it has just been selling so great. And again, to not necessarily the people that have been, those guys that buy every set boxes, but people casually coming in, buying them, and saying, "Oh shoot, Pokemon Go! I'm gonna buy it. I'll take an ETB or whatever." Again, Pokemon Go has been a huge little niche for all the people that are just casual interest in Pokemon, and those people that don't buy cards every set, or are not necessarily interested in you know what PSA prices are, stuff like that. The people that don't care about pop reports, the people that are going to be spending that casual money when they see something they like, are definitely picking up Pokemon Go. So at least for now, that is a nice thing to see. And I think that's what Pokemon wanted to do. Maybe they wanted to put out a set that wasn't going to be crazy stonks to the moon. Maybe they wanted something out there for the casuals. That's just a thought. That's something to think about. But as far as about the market cycle, I have no idea. I don't. That's not my. That's not my. I see people buying things and still liking the products. So as far as I'm concerned, we're still okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, Alec. I don't have a great answer for you, but
yeah, no. Let's see what else we got here.
Lots of fantastic people in the chat tonight, even for being at almost 1 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. This is awesome.
Love you guys.
110 people, Jake. 110 people.
Yeah. Just hanging out, talking Pokemon.
Just hanging out, man. Just having a good time. Imposter Oak says, if the new Magic set is better than Alpha or Beta. Come on, Imposter Oak. Come on. Give me a little leeway on that statement.
So I think that, just answering this comment, so I think that part of why I get asked questions, right? Like, what should I do? Why people do not give financial advice online to large groups of people in this type of format, and why that's unethical. So is because every single person's in a different financial situation, and it's so complicated. So now, if I was consulting Mason on his business, I would give him very different answers than I would give myself, right? And what I'm doing, what a business is going to do and what his margins are and where he makes his money is going to be very different than what I do. So in me talking about that would be different than what I would talk about. If you're out there and there are plenty of people who my advice would be, enjoy this as a hobby only, really.
Yes.
Maybe spend time just flipping and practicing some of that and having some fun there if you'd like. Otherwise, just enjoy it and collecting as a hobby. And if you want to make money, probably spend more time focusing on, like, it's such a cliched answer, but like developing your skills, setting goals at your work, trying to move your career forward rather than doing it here, right? That would be like the sensible answer for probably a lot of people out there. It's not necessarily the fun answer, which is part of why people want to do this, but the financial answer. But yeah, for me for sure. And it's part of why I talk so much about risk. It's like, for me, I can afford to continue to buy in this environment because I can afford the risk. But I wouldn't be buying this stuff now if I felt super confident that it was all going to collapse and never regain value. Why would I ever buy that, right, at these prices? So my analysis based on my how much I love this stuff and the risks I'm willing to take, buying this, but I don't. If I thought it was all going to plummet, I would wait. But again, I'm not buying heavy, and I'm not buying super aggressive, and I'm not spending. I'm actually buying more heavy and aggressive in other areas and in other TCGs and in other sorts of things. So, but I'm also not selling aggressively. So, I part of why to put a finer point on it, I'm not buying super aggressively in Pokemon is because I have a massive Pokemon collection right now that I built for 7 years of working on it. So I it's fun buying other TCGs, other collectibles, and also if we think about it from an investing or, you know, perspective for a second or speculating, I'm building out a broader portfolio of TCG cards of items, which from a market standpoint also makes sense rather than doubling down because I already have such a big bet on Pokemon. If we think about it financially, why I don't need to double down on that bet more and more, even if I do believe in that bet still. Whereas people who don't have any, if I and I am honest about it with people, if I didn't have any and I was still in the same type of financial situation, I'd be buying a lot more. That's the honest truth.
No, yeah. And I think it's important to have these conversations again with people that maybe are not in the same wheelhouse as you, just to get a good idea of where we're all at, like where the market is in all aspects, Um, it is very easy to put blinders on and just focus on strictly modern or strictly vintage or strictly graded stuff, or it's very important to know how the overall market is doing so you can make better decisions for yourself regardless of what you buy, collect, sell, etc.
Swami says, could it be a lot worse, or is the spend close to feeling like a bottom, or is the spend?
Yeah, I think he was talking about
Oh,
some other
uh,
things. He was responding to something else that he had posted about.
how
um,
close to the minimum spend do you think we are, Mason?
yeah, I did not know what he meant by minimum spend, so go back to the other thing. I'm sorry.
Um, I don't think he says exactly. I'm not sure if you mentioned that.
Yeah. Swami, say it again. Put it in a word it a little differently so we understand what you mean by um,
Yeah,
minimum spend. If that's a term that for something I am ignorant to what
I
it means.
imagine it's like how much, like the volume of sales, maybe the how much people are spending right now. Do you feel like it's close to a bottom, or do you feel like it could go lower? That people could be willing to spend less or want to spend less?
Oh, I mean, if that's what he's talking about, I think people are still happy to spend money on things that they're enjoying. Again, I think they're being a little more selective, and they're being, instead of buying booster boxes, they're buying, 6 packs or, here or there instead. But yeah, I feel like people are still very happy to be spending money, but maybe just again not as much as they've been doing here in the past while. Oh, he's talking about foot traffic. I think it could definitely be lower than what it is. Um, and that is a constant struggle, is getting people in the door and keep uh, not just your regulars but new people coming in. You know, and that's the good thing about my diversification in the store of having all these different things there, and I'm constantly bringing in different things in different areas that you know these same people will be enjoying and want to be interested in. I would I My goal is to have that person that normally buys Pokemon packs do a lap around the entire store and see everything that's new or everything that I have. And the same people that come in for D&D stuff to make the lap around the store and see everything, because they're more likely to spend money across the spectrum there. Retro When 50 Cent said "Get rich or die trying," was he talking about battle styles? Um, who did the song "Dead and Gone"? Who is that? Um, I feel like that's more of what battle styles was or is currently right now. Well, the booster boxes seem to be doing okay actually with battle styles. I've been selling battle styles boxes locally. Maybe because I haven't had, the newest stuff in, but people are still buying battle styles, still doing it very slowly. I may be down to like 120 ETBs right now, but people are buying it. I'll tell you.
Yeah, like this stuff, Dan, to me is a little overly bearish. Pokemon can only go if someone's willing to pay more than what you paid a literal pyramid scheme. So, yeah, but that's everything that you buy and then sell at a higher price. Commodities, stocks, right? It's just what's underlying it. Like, is there actual value in people, or a bubble is when theoretical bubble is when people are caught up in the making the money becomes the only thing, and there is no underlying asset that has any value to people in our actual lives. And for Pokemon, certainly got caught up in that, but Pokemon is not a and cards are not a complete tulip, but they are. But there was a definite large element of that, as we talked about for a year and a half, and clearly, I mean, this is cardboard. It's painted cardboard, okay? And like it's it, I, I I really enjoy it. It brings a lot of pleasure into my life, but it's not something that like I don't feel. I feel like I work hard to not lose track of what these items are. And as Mason, who isn't actually a collector of this stuff, of these things, or a fanatic, it's like I think Mason has a loves this stuff, but has a
Definitely. I am an enjoyer of the product. I'm not you know, I enjoy all that. I play the game. I actually play the game. So, I got that going for me. But I do appreciate that you did a very serious answer to an obvious uh, meme roast question. That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I do think like, and I feel this way like watching James, you out there in cam right now, and like, and Des it's like definitely, but like it's great that a lot of this air and hot air is coming out of like and so much of the BS and the influencers and all the nonsense, and like it is cathartic in some ways to see all the BS a lot of the BS kind of deflate and the prices deflate on all of this BS. But it's also important to not, lose sight on how enjoyable this stuff is and how fun the community is and how fun, like I I think it's easy to get overly pessimistic and bearish. And I think it's funny because like I'd have conversations with people who and they were so bullish and predicted such huge prices, and then in this environment are very negative and focused on scams, and before I was the one focusing on the scams and negative and concerned, and now it's flip-flopped. I think that says something about where we're at. So I'll just um you want to try to be in the middle when you're making decisions. Let me put it this way. I think it's fun to have like opinions and strong opinions and be super positive and super negative, but when you're actually making decisions, financial decisions, it's good to try and be somewhere in the middle if possible.
Yes, I think that is part of why I enjoy um, the lives and participating and stuff like that because I am making such heavy weighted business decisions all the time that it's nice to have a place where I can come and actually enjoy it and enjoy the ride as opposed to being so hyper focused on the money aspect of it. That's an important part of it for me.
Absolutely. I mean, Dan, sorry, Dan. God, why did you put that one up? Sorry. I love you, and we see eye to eye on almost everything, but Um, um, but I do think it's like people unfortunately like listen to us way too much, and so and like our sentiments unfortunately impact people's decisions way too much. I see this a lot, and so trying to yeah be sort of as people know like I'm when I'm off camera, I like joke around way more, and I'm much more of a troll and nonsense, and I'm willing to say radical things. But it's like I feel a responsibility to like be reasonable.
I hate having you in a chat when I'm doing a live because it's always going to be something that throws me off. And I'm not very good at this anyways, and then I start getting trolled, even if it's a kind troll, and it throws me off. And yeah.
um, let's see what else we got.
Mertz asked, "Who's buying Battlestars ETBs?" Remember the pyramid? The people on the bottom of the pyramid. Those are the people that are buying ETBs. They don't care. They just want to buy and enjoy cards, man. They just and yeah, it does help probably that it's a $30 ETB, but you know, people just want to crack some packs. I tell you, it's rough out here.
My hairline has absolutely been moving back. My dad, luckily, like my dad has a big forehead like me, and his hairline moved back, but he didn't like. I don't have like bald spots, or I'm not balding yet. But
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think
it can recede all at once, just as long as I don't have the spot in the back. I'm good. I'm pretty lucky with that.
Is it getting harder to get PSA 10 in modern? The print quality definitely seems to be diminished. What do you think, Mason?
Um, I think that it seems like I think I've said this before that I think that everybody's so hyper focused on how good a card comes out of a pack that we just seem to be more we seem to notice more that they are not always perfect tens out of the packs, whereas they've always been that way. I think we just again put so much focus on it now. You know, Delta Species era cards have print lines. WotC stuff had print lines. Straight out of the pack. That's not like a new phenomenon. Like they get jacked up out of the packs from back in the day as well. It's not a new thing. I guess print lines are better than like edgeware though. I guess that's something that's new.
I haven't seen really enough. Like, I do follow the pop reports, but it's hard with the pop reports because people tend to send in their best copies, generally speaking,
Sure.
particularly
Yeah.
in these expensive environments. So I'm not really sure, Ancient Mew. Like the people who are the best people to ask this, Mason is a great person to ask this, but people like people who are opening like tons and tons and tons of packs and inspecting tons and tons and tons of cards. I'm not really sure I know enough to really give an opinion. I mean, I deal a decent amount in modern, but I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. Quite. Obviously, the pop reports are reflecting like there are certain cards are incredibly easy that are modern, but you have other alt arts and other cards that seem to be lower 9 to 10 ratio. We'll have to see how it plays out over time as prices get cheaper. As long as as long as there's still incentive to grade, you'll get a lot more of those cards graded. You get a more fleshed out pop report, and we'll have a better sense.
Yeah, I think I've opened up a lot of packs that have absolutely beautiful cards in them. So I they're definitely still out there. But yeah, every pack hollow is not a 10 for sure. I mean, it
Yeah,
goes without saying that modern cards are probably not great as far as comparatively to what, probably mid era or WotC era stuff is. But I think there's just so much of it that we have a way larger sample size than we uh, saw for older stuff. And again, like you said, people are sending the best of the best of the old stuff. They're not opening things and submitting every you know EX and V card and V Max card that they get out of a pack like we see now.
Alex says that we don't have to worry until I get bearish. Then it's truly over.
I mean, you're right. I mean, look, it could all be going like the Titanic, but so long as Nostalgianomics is still playing the violin, it's not all the way over.
I will tell you, if Alex starts getting negative, particularly on like modern sealed, then we're at a bottom. Now, that bottom does not mean it will ever go back up. that bottom could be zero. Only Alex would know that. But yes, when you have the most bullish voices, they kind of maybe Alex isn't the most bullish. To be fair, Alex isn't. Like, Alex gets a bad rap, I think, for being and part of that is definitely his own doing and in him, debating hard and creating some straw men here or there. But I think Alex gets a bad rap because I mean, there are people out there who are so unreasonable, like, with their bullishness still. Now, those people, it's a much smaller group. But I see videos. Dan sends me these videos, I think, just to scare me and rile me up. But he'll send me videos with people who have no experience in Pokemon, no success in Pokemon, telling people like to buy like a ton of Evolving Skies at like whatever the price is, that it's like a guaranteed sure thing, and it's like, wow, sure, whatever. Like, could be, obviously, like, if you bought a bunch of Evolving Skies right now and you held it for 3 to 5 years, you might make a lot of money. But the analysis in these videos is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I just like you said, the people that are not qualified to be making these types of decisions without even knowing any sort of print run numbers or allocation numbers or any that doesn't matter. They're just gonna pick a product and say it's good and chase it to the moon.
Yeah.
I do have a problem with people that do stuff like that. I think that it's very easy to sit there and pick and choose things that you think are great and great items, but until you actually know, uh, like when things are going to be reprinted, or if they're going to be reprinted, or the likelihood of them being reprinted, or what we've seen in the past, in the from distribution channels, and what Pokemon typically does with stuff.
Yeah.
All those things play into a factor of how things do over time, and I just don't think some of these guys have the qualifications to be making those sorts of calls. And
And so,
certainly that's not crowning me as some sort of like
well,
I
we're
know
not
what's going on.
making calls. That's the
No,
difference.
of course, exactly. And
Like,
if it is,
you and I
it's
are
the other
very
way. It's the
experienced.
other way. Yes.
You and I are very experienced and eat, breathe, and sleep this stuff, and we're not making calls. Right?
Correct.
That's right. So it's we're sharing what we are doing, which is what we believe will happen, but
Yes.
we're not guaranteeing things.
Yes. And again,
But I will say, to answer this, to respond to this comment seriously, it's Alex's comment here. I do think it's actually an important concept, which is that if anyone out there is always bullish or always bearish in anything, in any investing market, it's time and this is not saying Alex is always bullish or that anyone is always bearish, but the underlying point is kind of I want to make on this. Um, that's not a strategy. Like you should shift. Like there are periods where you should have an analysis of some sort that's based on actual math and actual data and actual prices. And when that analysis moves, like, and to be fair to Alex, like, I'm sure if you, like, Alex says don't buy things. Like, if you were to ask him, I'm sure there's plenty of things. I think, spends a lot of his time on his channel, like, talking positively about things
Mm.
instead of negatively. But like, if you actually pushed Alex, right, I'm sure Alex would sit here and say, these things are probably overpriced right now, or I wouldn't buy them at these, like, but anyone who's sort of like perma bullish and can actually analyze things that are overvalued or undervalued in any one given market, or that a whole market could be overvalued or undervalued, isn't investing. Like isn't thinking like a value investor, isn't like that's not a good mindset. Or someone who's constantly bearish all the time and
Yeah.
just, it's that you're not investing. Then you just don't believe in the market. The overly bullish person is just someone who is just gonna, buy and buy and buy and isn't really putting much thought, and just believes in sort of the overall that the market itself will overall go up in the long run, and that, I'm just gonna buy at all times every sort of thing, and isn't gonna be discerning. And as long as the market does go up in the long run, like they'll do fine. They just won't do nearly as well as the more discerning, person. Um, and the very bearish person will put no money into anything and will make no money. So they'll sit on their cash, and uh, and that's much better than putting it into something that does very badly. But it isn't investing. So if you're interested in investing, you actually have to like be bullish. Like you actually have to you have to look at the world and find things that you're bullish on, right? So yeah, it is funny to me, people who are like extremely bearish all the time. And I'm picking on Alex's comment here, but please, Alex, I'm not talking about you.
Alex is fine. He knows. He
Okay,
knows.
good. Good.
He knows.
Uh,
I love the chat. I
for
love the chat so much. I feel like I'm missing out by being on the live because I'm not able to be in the chat right now.
I'm gonna start screaming soon. People love that.
I do think it's interesting to see, so many channels like pack openers and things still seeing some good growth in subscribers. I mean, that's still incredible to me. That
Yeah,
that also speaks to, again, to the health and the actual staying power of where we're at now from, before the boom.
absolutely.
I think that, I mean, yeah, like, PokeRev getting a million subs, and not in a slow manner. Like that is in any fashion impressive. Because definitely, if I was not open or interested in pack openings anymore, I would definitely unsubscribe from PokeRev. Me personally. So the fact that he's still going up, I think says a lot.
So, one thing that I find that's interesting about stuff like that, um, let's see. One thing that I find that's interesting about like people's negativity towards channels like that is that, so like I don't enjoy watching card openings that often, but like once in a while I do enjoy it. So like with Pokérev's channel, like I enjoy watching a video, maybe like particularly if there's like a new set comes out, I like watching a video
Yeah,
of his.
yeah,
Or if like he's opening something I'm particularly interested in. But a lot of it I've just seen a ton of times, right? And PokeRev has opened it a bunch, and other people have opened it a bunch, and I'd rather just open it myself or do something else, right? For me personally. But why do people have problems with other people who like to watch that content every single day? Do you know, like it's a little like
I don't know.
he's
Like
not he's helping the hobby with it. He's not hurting anyone. He's literally just opening packs and getting excited,
extremely
and
positive, like
it's extremely
not a
positive,
negative.
and people enjoy it. My only issue ever with PokeRev was the market finance stuff, and maybe like, the hyping the stuff up when he could have been warning people. But I had that issue with a lot of people. I have that issue. Like, I wish Rusty had come out and warned people more. I mean, there are plenty of people who I have like huge amounts of respect for, right? That I like wish had been more sounding the alarm, maybe. But and we can go back and forth and debate, like, is that their job? Maybe they shouldn't sound the alarm, because what if they sound the alarm too early and then the Pokemon market doubles or triples again, and they were way too early, and then they cause a lot of people to miss out on buying or get involved, right? Like, and those are very reasonable arguments. We had Rusty on this month on the Patreon. We talked about that in part of that video. Him and I went back and forth for a second on just sort of that concept or that idea, right? But if you are annoyed by open mouth thumbnails, and you are, in all seriousness, and you are annoyed by the pack opening and maybe the performance of like the cheeriness and the excitement and these types of things, like, just don't watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get what the problem is. That it's like people want to, I think it's people want to hate on the success. It's people want to hate, and like people's hate on Leonhardt. Like,
Sure.
like people hate
Unlisted Leaf. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
all those again, people that
people
are
hate that stuff like that is successful. And on the one hand, I get it, because it's like, well, you're busting your butt over here, not using clickbaity thumbnails, not doing open mouth thumbnails because you don't like it. It doesn't feel good to you. And I respect that. And on some level, I do get it and respect that. But it's like, it's like, to a certain extent. But if you're like going out and hating on it, I'm just tired of it. It's annoying to me. And
yeah, it gets old. I mean,
it's one thing if you're
it's
teasing
pointless.
it. It's another thing if you're, and again, like, I don't watch a lot of those videos because it's not entertaining to me. There are plenty of people who wouldn't find this at all entertaining and would find those much more entertaining. But as
Sure.
long as they're not being like a dick to me about it, and telling me I need to shut down my channel, like, that's just their own personal preference, and it's great. I don't know.
I think we do need to show more cards though when we do lives. I think that's important. I think that's like this bad boy. This bad boy right here. That's what I'm focused on. That's what I'm looking at. Please don't buy that. Please don't buy that card.
Unless people like are lying or manipulating. Like, I get the thumbnail stuff, I get the clickbait, I get the positives and negatives of that debate, but I don't know. Whatever.
Ponga, that's not a bag. Come on, that's an EV VMAX. One of the most popular Pokemon there is, and it's a VMAX. How can it be a bag?
Yeah, I mean, and again, like, it's like, for me, right? Like, if I prefer to watch openings of my friends or people who like seem to be, it's a smaller community, there's less people in the chat, people are talking about it more, it feels like a group of friends, like, that's more appealing to me.
Sure, yeah.
But like, someone who finds that less appealing, it's like, why are I just, it's annoying people telling people like what to do when it's not like costing people money. Like, and this is where like where I like, I will criticize anyone like who is scamming, and support anyone calling out people who are scamming or taking advantage of people or doing these types of things. But like, when people are like, when there's sort of like the like, the BS sort of gatekeeping stuff, it's annoying. But whatever. What can I do about it other than complain about it on my own channel? My opinion doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure these 100 people that are watching are all concerned about. No, it's fine.
Whatever. But trust me, guys, I wish I could figure out a way to do clickbait. Not clickbait, but I wish I could figure out a way to do like more catchy titles and thumbnails that would grow this while feeling like it's genuinely myself, and there just isn't. So that's why you get nothing.
That's why you get a live at 1:15 in the morning.
Yeah, and it just is what it is.
It is what it is. Take it or leave it, folks.
Exactly.
As Swami leaves. All right, Swami. We see how it is.
Gosh, my charger isn't working. Yeah, I think that there's a difference between like, it depends if it's lighthearted or not. Like
Sure.
like, for example, like I like Rattle's like videos about the news. Like I
Yes.
think it's mostly funny. Like,
Uh,
but
yeah,
I
I can agree with that. Sure.
but and I've said this, and you know, it can cross the line for me and more to the point, they're really toxic, awful people that it can galvanize against people. And it's if you're and it's also make fun of your friends.
Sure.
Like
I think
like
that's nice.
teasing your friends in a good-natured way where we actually know that you really like them and care and like you support them is one thing. So whatever. But
Yeah.
there's a line, and it's the same thing with Ryan. Like there's a line in there. Like I really like Ryan. I consider Ryan a friend. Like I'm hoping to like
And
meet and
yeah,
hang out
and
with him. But like I have the same opinion no matter who it is. You know, it's sort of like there's a line there, and but everyone's gonna have their own line, right? Where they think someone's gonna cross it. But whatever.
yeah, I mean that's my concern is that it's not so long as it's not cannibalistic, you know, where we just start ripping on each other.
Yeah.
I just don't want it. You know,
In
that's all.
an actual competitive aggressive way
Flash
where
forward to where this is on the next one, but
where you're actually trying to tear down. But
right,
whereas
exactly.
this joke about this channel was right and funny. Like he joked that we're like repetitive and we've had too many modern versus vintage
Right.
collecting conversations, and he joked about our camera quality, both accurate and fair.
Yeah,
Like,
I get it.
you know. So
No lies detected. I get it.
whatever.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun. Like it's
So but give in to the dark side, Jake. No, it's just there's a balance. And I think like again, like teasing and making fun of someone's like can be funny, particularly if you're funny. But if it really hurts them and you're doing it at and you're sort of undermining all the effort and work that they put in and all the good thing that they've done, like that's where you get you're a dick. Like that's where you cross the line between like it's funny and it's helpful and positive to like you're being a dick, you know, for me. If that makes sense, Mason. What do you think?
no, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to put out something knowing that it's going to be taken positively when you are making jokes about people. Particularly with if you're critiquing somebody's style of videos or just their personality. I mean, you just got to pick and choose what you're pointing out about it. I think um, I would not take anything too seriously about YouTube ever.
Yeah, it's very important to like have friends and family, but also like I feel like I've met and made real friends through this, but like I'll have those regardless of if I stop doing YouTube or not, or I'm liked or not on
Sure.
YouTube. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it that's important to you for sure. Um, so yeah, for sure. I mean, people in general, right? Like particularly if you're respectful and you're a kind person, people are going to be, you know, enjoyable to be around.
Just shout out to Ancient Mew in general. Ancient Mew goes around and posts awesome pictures and different people's discords and all the the stuff they post on Instagram and stuff. Just fun, great pictures. Ancient Mew, you are a positive influence in the hobby. So thank
Absolutely.
you. I love seeing your stuff.
I do too. A name that I'm very familiar with, and just echo exactly what Mason said. We appreciate you. I just love people love this hobby, you know. All right. What else, guys?
Basic, that is fantastic. Thank you. Basic says, if you're not losing your hairline, then you are simply not taking enough risk. And that is a quote, a fake quote from Charlie Herlocker. That's great. Thank you. Or it could have been a real. It could have been a real quote. I really don't know. I'm going to assume that it was fake, though. You wanna answer this newest question?
Where? Sorry, I was looking up in the chat. This guy?
Yeah.
What do you think, Mason?
During a dead period. I don't know, man. It's Evolving Skies is such a hard set to throw out in this type of conversation. I just feel like I just had somebody today ask me if I had any Evolving Skies. Like people are still asking for it by name, like in my store constantly. And people still love just to open it. I just can't imagine unless they print it into the absolute dirt that Evolving Skies isn't a good play of something that people are going to want to open in the future. That's a rough question. Because then if you're not picking Evolving Skies, okay, what are you buying? And then it's like, ooh, I don't know. If you were to go out to a Target, Jake,
Yeah.
and you just wanted to buy some stuff from Modern Stuff, what are you buying? Maybe they got some Shining Fates sitting there. Maybe they got some Vivid Voltage. Maybe they got some. Maybe they have some stuff with Evolving Skies in it. Sure, let's throw it on the table.
I think it's fine to gamble, on that stuff for fun. I, I don't feel comfortable enough in that stuff to feel like I'm
No,
investing in
sure,
it.
yes,
Um,
yes.
okay, so all right, so what do I'm gonna be let's be totally transparent with my thoughts. So, all right, so what's Evolving Skies right now? 140? Where's it at today? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's probably floating 140, 150.
140, 150.
Sure, let's go with
Okay.
that.
So I think of like the modern booster boxes, buying Evolving Skies at like 140, 150 is to me more upside than buying like a Chilling Reign at like 90 or whatever you could get it at probably now, or even less, probably 80, 85. there's more upside for Evolving Skies. If you're buying Evolving Skies, you're betting on the Pokemon market really strengthening. And you're betting on that set continuing to sort of be the most popular one. And you're also betting on the fact that that set wasn't printed a lot more than the other sets. If you're comfortable with all those bets, like if you think they're all printed about the same, and all those sets are probably printed a lot, like I don't think this is a team up situation, where it was way underprinted and then you have a huge
Ooh.
explosion,
Yeah, team
So,
up.
so I think with a set like this, I'm not expecting. I think it'd be very difficult for that set alone if we're comparing it. Because when we think about investing, we want to think about where else could I put that capital, right? It's not
Sure.
just about will that go up. It's about how much will that go up relative to other options that I could buy. Okay, so if you're gonna
Yeah,
if you're gonna buy that, like, and the Pokemon market does really well. Like if that box gets to $600, that like all of those boxes will be quite a bit more valuable in my opinion. But I think you'll make the most with Evolving Skies because I think if Evolving Skies was at 600, you might see like Chilling Reign and Battle Styles at like 250, and then you would have made more money if that scenario happens. Now, if nothing goes up at all, or if sort of that investing stonking goes out and people really just open this stuff for a really long time, you might have an easier time selling Chilling Reign at $90 than Evolving Skies at 140, 150, depending on the time period. And it might be more likely for Evolving Skies to fall back down to like 110 than it would be for Chilling Reign to fall like below 70 or something, for you to lose like $30 or on a percentage basis, or a similar amount. Of the two, it makes more sense probably to just if you're gonna speculate, I would just go with Evolving Skies. I just go with the better set at those prices and hope that Pokemon does well and that does well. But I wouldn't view it as like some safe, sensible investment. As far as your question about like waiting for a dead period, uh, I don't know how long that would take. I don't know what that would look like. We may not now might be the dead period. Like compared to the
sure.
next,
Yeah. I
like
mean,
within the next 5 to 10 years, we may not see a true dead period like we saw in like the 90s with the massive overprinting and then just people vastly losing interest. Um, I'm not sure we will see that in Pokemon. We might, like in 5 to 10 years from now. I know that a lot of people say just hold things for 5 years and they'll make you a lot of money, but like it's yet maybe, but also in 5 to 10 years, like the Pokemon hobby could be like much smaller and fairly dead compared to what it is now. Like you have to understand that that's a possibility. And then it could have a reboot in 20 years where it gets really popular again because they release some cool video games and people get back into Pokemon. And I think that is not super likely because I think the hobby is more established now. I think it's hard. I think we're fairly out of the sort of fad. That would be more of like a fad cycle where it just completely dies and then it takes something like new to start like people's interest in it again. I don't think that's going to happen. I also hope it doesn't happen, to be fair. And so there's just some thoughts there. So waiting for some sort of dead period, it doesn't really make much sense to me. I think I would probably I think there's much better places you can put your money than buying that box. If you do like a bunch of research and you're buying like you're buying modern or vintage collections and then waiting to grade them, I think that there are better plays in other hobbies. But I think buying that and hoping that Pokemon goes up, and then maybe it's a rough 1 to 2 years, but then in 3 to 5 years, you think Pokemon market will overall be solid and the broader economic market will be better. And plenty of those boxes will be opened up in the next few years. People will then be more nostalgic for that set. In 5 years, it will feel a little bit more vintage. And that's selling for $400 to $500 or $300 to $500. It's definitely possible. It's not unrealistic to say that could happen. That's my full answer. Now, what would I do? Again, I don't put my money into that. I put my money into other things. But would I buy like a couple? Maybe. Again, I bought mine at 90, 95. That was the price point I'm comfortable with. I'm not at
so
140.
that was the dead period for Evolving Skies was was buying it at 90.
Yeah, so my Chilling Reign I bought, and Battle Styles I was buying at like 68, and my Evolving Skies I bought at like 95. And those are the prices that I'm comfortable with. For me, if I didn't get it at those prices, it's just a pass forever as an investment or a speculative play.
Sure.
not as like an opener. I'd buy one to open if I really wanted to in the future, right? At whatever the price was. Um, Now there might be another point in history where I think people are undervaluing these things, like somewhere in the future. But I don't, who knows? So that's my full, honest answer where my mind would go for everything. What do you think, Mason?
You could end every every answer that you give with that same statement, with what you just said.
I try not to like give everyone all my thinking sometimes because I don't want to like I don't want people to do what I like. I want to be more. A lot of that is sort of like my own bias or opinions, but whatever. Yeah, yeah. And if I had to put a percentage on that, I wouldn't even know how to begin. Like which one do I think is going to happen? But it's not enough. I don't think it's likely enough that it makes sense to put money into it as a
Uh,
investment.
as my job is to sell these things, I am telling you that the longevity of Evolving Skies, more than likely being the most popular Sword and Shield set, uh, I am very confident that it is the one to choose. So NPXC, take that for what you will,
And
and put
and
that
I
on
think
a
another
shelf.
I think another concept that's really important to think about is that buying the sealed booster box fairly early can be very sensible. It's the exact opposite with buying the cards. Buying the raw cards, you want to wait till as much of the product is opened as possible
Oh yeah, sure,
and as
of
much
course.
is on the market as possible. And so now that could be 6 months, it could be a year, right? Because
Yeah,
what can happen is if 60% of the product gets open, just think about it logically, guys, right? If 60% of the product, and I'm just throwing out random numbers, let's say 40% of the product gets open in 3 months. All right. That's a lot of product that hits the market all at once. That can push the prices quite a bit down. Let's say then over the next 10 years, another 40% gets opened. But it's going to get open so slowly that it may not push the prices down as much in a short period of time. So the best buy you may ever get might be in that 6-month window because so much of it is flooded TCG player in one period of time that it's never because they're not going to reprint it maybe, and that you're never going to have a moment like that again. All other things being equal in the market. So when you're trying to answer this question about buying singles, it's a lot more of the patience game. Be patient. Wait for people. You want to buy in the lowest demand period where people are bored of this. People have already collected what they wanted, and the highest supply moment. And sometimes the highest supply moment, there's still going to be a decent amount of demand, but it's still the best
sure.
time to
Yeah,
buy. But that's very different than the sealed product. The sealed product
absolutely.
you
Yeah,
want to buy while a lot of it hasn't been opened, earlier on, or so ideally you want to buy it. It's the same thing in terms of buying it when the hype dies down. So generally you still don't want to buy it right away. Usually you want to wait for some reprints. You want to wait for some of the hype to die down. You want to wait for people to move on to different sets. You want to wait for people to undervalue the set. But generally speaking, you do want to get it in a pretty early period. But I will caveat that with if they print enough of something, it could never go up ever. Or it could take a really long time for enough to be opened. So it could be dead money for many years, which is what you saw in every single Pokemon set until the boom, basically, a modern, Sun and Moon set, so
sure.
that could happen again, or evolutions, right? You could buy these, they could sit at the exact same
Oh,
price.
evolutions. That's a
Yeah.
okay. We can
Right.
talk about that. Okay.
Evolutions sat at the same price for 4 years, 4.5 years. In
Mm.
fact, it went down. Right, people were selling at a loss for 4.5 years, and then all of a
Yes.
sudden, went up huge. So it would have been smart to buy that right before it went up huge. It would have been real dumb to buy that in the beginning and sit on it all that time. You could have made so much more money by flipping and doing other sorts of things. People who held evolutions all those years may have made money, but they actually lost an incredible opportunity to be buying collections and flipping, and doing all sorts of things. People who sat on that inventory. So just understand all of those different things, and then you have to sort of make your guesses, make your best bets.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, singles way different than sealed. Completely whole different conversation, different time frames for sure.
I believe that with every new generation of new Pokemon, it dilutes people's interest and creates a buildup of apathy toward the Pokemon hobby. I mean, yes and no. I
Mm,
mean, you know.
I disagree with that statement.
Mhm.
Uh, every new generation gets a new generation of collectors into it,
Mhm.
and their natural way. When you say dilute, if you mean spreads to the other things that they missed out on because they get their fill on the new stuff and then they move and spread to other parts of the hobby. Yes, it does dilute people's interests, but I think that is a core good thing. That is a major strength of Pokemon is that constantly there's new people being churned through in every aspect of it, and that all those people will eventually learn and grow their knowledge base and look at other things in the hobby. There is a reason why kids walk into my store. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 year olds walk into my store and they know what an ancient Mew card is. They know that that is a hugely nostalgic card for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And their dad stands there and says, "Yeah, I got one of those. I got that in the my binder at home." They will move on and learn about other things. And the things that we like, we don't like them necessarily because of that's just the era that we got into the game or got into the hobby at. It's that there is something intrinsic about that item that everybody's going to enjoy. Not always the case, obviously. I'm speaking in broad generals when I shouldn't be, but typically you like a card for fundamental reasons that somebody else would also like that same card for, and that's important. And that a kid, again, a 6, 7, 8 year old kid walks in and sees an Ancient Mew card, it's because Ancient Mew is a very awesome looking card and very unique and has all these great fundamentals to it, even though it's millions and millions of copies of that card out there. That card has a very important place in the hobby. And even the newest of the newest people in the hobby will know that that card is important.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add to that is that there's probably a middle ground that it builds, that it does exactly what Mason's saying, where it just is positive, right? There's like if they don't print too much and they don't release too many sets in too short of a time, and the sets are really good, there's that middle ground of like, yes, of course, like every time they put out a new set, it's like more money that I'm putting into that set, maybe instead of like any of the older sets, of course.
Yep.
But also, every new set is keeping me interested and engaged in the hobby. Every new set is bringing new people, as Mason said, into the hobby, new kids, new generations. So there's a balance there where Pokemon continuing to make new sets is a net good for every set in the hobby. And I would argue other TCGs and
Sure.
CCGs and all these other
Absolutely.
games, they could dilute the market, but they could also help expand and grow the market and bring more interest and cross collectors and hobbyists. And there's no one knows like the right amount exactly, but like there's going to be some balance in there, and that's for the Pokemon company to try and like thread that needle over time. They seem to be doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think their track record's pretty solid right now. They're doing pretty good.
So Alex adds just on the analysis of like the booster box conversation we are having, but Jake, also talk about the time it takes to do that over buying and holding sealed. Way more work and effort to make those greater returns, for sure. I mean, way more. I don't know.
It,
You
yeah,
can streamline it, but for sure, but the gains are a lot more, and I mean, if you want to buy like a few cases and then sit on them and then do nothing, right? And not engage in anything, that can be very low work and could reward you well. Like if the Pokemon hobby does well. And so I agree with you, Alex, like on that. Um, I go ahead, Mason. You want to add something?
Yes, absolutely, I do.
Go for it.
Um, when Alex says that it takes work and effort, I would argue that the people that are into this hobby want to do that work and effort, and in some cases, that is the most enjoyable part of this hobby, is the work and effort that goes into the returns of investing and collecting. It is using the knowledge that you have and growing your knowledge to make better decisions, to make better returns, and keep growing that knowledge base and putting in more work and more effort. That is truly the most enjoyable aspect of this hobby.
And I guess I just feel like to kind of piggyback on that, anyone who's spending lots of hours watching us talk and watching this channel, like, seems to be the type of person who would be interested in putting in that work and effort and has that sort of passion. So, I
Right.
think that, and honestly, I would probably think the same thing for like almost everyone watching all of your videos too, Alex, right? People who are spending that many hours, that much time tuning into every single thing. And so I think it's fine to say like this one's easier or this one's going to take less time. And so if you don't have a lot of time, this is the better one to take. And that could definitely, I mean, time value, time value of money, but also your own time value. Um, but I
I
mean,
don't think
we broke
Dan.
down like how much I've been paid per hour of work. It's been real good.
Sure.
I don't know
Yes.
exactly what it is, and again, it's also like a huge passion, and I love it. But like now,
Exactly.
is it going to be repeatable into the future? I think the moves I'm making now and the things I'm doing now are going to work out well, and I still believe in the card market, and particularly in some other hobbies. I think that I'm gonna. I think that there's plenty of undervalue. I think we're in the beginning of cards in general. I'm hoping, and if I'm right, all of the effort and work and time I'm putting in it will definitely pay off financially. And if I'm wrong, I had a blast and made a lot of friends. And to Mason's point, just like enjoyed, and I learned a lot about how markets work and markets function. And I've exercised my brain, and money's not the most important thing at the end of the day, as long as you have
Right.
enough of it. So,
I
but
don't think
yeah,
Dan opened his business to get access to distribution to sit on sealed product. Like, I don't think that's why Dan is doing what he's doing. He enjoys and the fun of it is the flipping game and knowing what to buy and what to do and how to put the most money that is going to make the most return. That is the fun of, I would say, any investing. I mean, would you not agree? I mean, is that not the goal? Do people not see, stonks go up and they feel better about themselves? I mean, that's the whole idea.
for
So,
sure. No, it's
yeah.
definitely build up that ego.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just uh of course, yeah, sitting on a sealed product is
Yeah.
very passive and easy. Not easy, but I mean, it's less work than uh again, work in quotes. It's fun and enjoyable to a lot of people. So,
And I think it's like I'd totally be respectful of anyone who's like, I don't enjoy it that much. I don't want to put the effort and the time in, and I'd rather just put a couple sealed cases away and and I hope they go up. Like why like all the power to you.
yeah.
Like I
And
hope
you
they
can
go
do
up for you too.
and you can do both. You can do both and it's uh you know, you having the safer bet that is more passive might allow you to do the more work and effort and with less concern about the risk.
Yeah. I will tell you there's a reason why businesses make their money on singles and graded stuff and breaking down stuff and um
You think so?
you
Man.
tell me, Mason.
Uh Look, as I always say, I did not make or open a game store to because of the great money in it. That is you know, Why do people open up a car wash? Not because they love washing cars, I don't think. Somebody opening a car wash does it for a very different reason than somebody that opens a game store. I don't think maybe people do enjoy the work and effort that it takes to wash cars. I don't know. Maybe there are people out there that enjoy that.
Let's see. Jake flexing again. What did I do? What did I do now?
Oh, something about your income per hour or whatever you were saying.
It's a money channel.
It's
I don't
there's
know what else to say.
literally a stock ticker esque chart graph as the logo. I mean,
I had someone.
I don't know.
I'm in this Discord, and the guy didn't know that I was in the Discord, and he was, saying some negative things about me and how he didn't like me, and and was saying things about how he hates how much I talk about money. And I literally wrote, I was like, it's a money channel. Like,
Right.
we talk about finances and money of Pokemon. Like, that's what we do. I don't know. But, everyone, it's strange how people feel. Like, people think that, like, your channel is you and all of you. And what you're like in every situation. And this is the same conversation I have with every person now, all day, every day. Instead of realizing that, like, all YouTube channels are repetitive and they're based around a certain niche that people like and enjoy talking about. And that's why you don't need to watch every video, nor unless you really enjoy it like me, nor do you have to be involved in this niche at all. And it doesn't mean that everyone involved in this niche doesn't also love the entertainment content, the other types of Pokemon content, and spends a lot of time in the other areas and appreciates other content creators. So it's very, as a content creator, I've learned a lot more about how strange, how people who aren't content creators and don't do this at all don't understand like what it's like at all, and completely misjudge and misread content creators like constantly. It's very interesting.
I mean, yeah, and they go off the information that they're given, which is, yeah, if you followed me around with a camera every day and saw what I actually did for my business, it would not be great content. If you want to watch me sort through 2 5,000 count boxes in 3 hours, if you want to watch that, I will sit and live stream me sorting cards if you want. But most likely, that's not going to be a great channel.
I am going to be a massive bag holder. If the whole card market completely collapses and goes to zero, I will be a massive, massive bag holder. That is for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the joke will be on all of us.
But I won't regret it, and that's. But I work very hard and I invest very heavily in traditional assets so that I could actually feel that way. I'm not just saying that. Like, it's very easy to say that until it happens, but I'm actually trying to be financially successful enough in all the other areas that, like, losing whatever it is, whatever amount of money my collection and all these things are worth, like really just losing all of that, like it wouldn't sting that bad. But that requires a lot of preparation, financial preparation. For a lot of people who have like 80%, 90% of their net worth in Pokemon, they would still love Pokemon because they really love it. But it's like, it would suck. It would be for the vast majority of people, it would hurt a lot more than maybe they like if they're being honest, it would be very stressful. It wouldn't feel good. And they would regret not selling a lot more. But it may not do that, right? So, that's part of the gamble.
Dan says he wants me to do a whole 8-hour day recording.
Every day, man. All day, every day. I just follow you.
It wouldn't be 8 hours, though. It'd be more like 11 hours because that's my realistic daily work. But, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, Kai. And as I just illustrated, I can say that for a very specific reason, which is my other investments. If I had all my money in Pokemon, I would first of all, I would feel incredibly guilty, like that I didn't sell for like my children and my family's well-being and all sorts of things. So, and also like for my girlfriend, like it would just be very inappropriate. So that's why I told people to sell. I mean, I had lots of close friends reach out to me during the hype and tell, I love this stuff, but it's life-changing money. And it's like, think about it, man. Like,
You had that conversation with me
I had that conversation with you,
at the peak. Yeah, absolutely, you did.
but not you to sell. You didn't have it.
No, you were talking to me about
for me, myself.
for you selling things off because
Yeah, and I sold a
you're just
lot.
like, yeah.
Yeah. It was hard.
It was easy for me.
Well, you are a Pokemon business.
Well,
You have
lucked
some
out.
practice.
What can I say? Sometimes
that's literally what you do all
it's
day.
better to be lucky than good, you know?
Berkshire Hathaway, not financial advice. No, sorry. Strike that. That's actually illegal. Giving stock financial advice, although people do it all the time.
Even more so if it's a stock that you own, correct?
Nah, that has nothing to do with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
incredible. I mean,
incredible.
the illegality of it is if you're not licensed. Talking about securities, giving financial advice on securities. So the only thing you're allowed to do is give educational. So if it's educational, then you're safe. So you can talk about like what stocks you're purchasing and what you're doing if you're educating people on it. This is what the financial YouTubers like. That's why they're safe to some degree, but it's a very fine line. Some of them really get very like when you start telling people like go buy this, like what I just did as a joke. I wasn't being serious. Like that's a no-no. Yeah. Definitely don't invest in Berkshire Hathaway. He doesn't know what he's doing. Serious boomer vibes.
Retro is great.
Oh my God, James. The moment that Cam, I forget exactly what Cam said. That's one of the funniest things that I've heard in a long time. You and Cam, I was like trolling you guys about accounting and stuff, and Cam said something about like vibes. Were you in the chat, Mason, on James's channel?
And what was it, Alive or something?
It was Alive, yeah. And
I wasn't. I missed him.
I think Cam asked James like, how do you like how does accounting work or something? Is it based on vibes or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, did you do your job based on vibes, or was there any sort of like formula or mathematical? Oh my God. Brilliant.
I love it.
Those are the conversations I feel like, and then I said something like, those are the conversations I feel like happens at Whatnot. Like, that's why companies like that scare me. Like companies that are like, it's all about like positive vibes. It's like, is anyone doing math here? Like, is anyone doing the numbers to make sure like this is viable, or are we like all about the vibes?
Sometimes I feel like my business runs on vibes. Yeah. I don't know if we're making money, but it feels like we are. It feels like we're doing okay.
Terrifying.
Yeah, same.
And then at the end of the day, we go to our actual numbers people and we see how we actually did.
My accountant says, "How are you guys still open?" Yeah. Don't harsh the vibe.
Yeah, I've interviewed at companies and for people before who like they gave me that sort of like the vibe mentality, and I was very upfront with them, and I'm just like, just so you know, like I'm gonna be very blunt, and I don't want to work in this environment unless I'm encouraged to be blunt with useful things that will help us. Nothing personal, obviously, but I'm going to be very blunt with anything I can offer that's going to solve problems, because that's my job. And
yeah, I just feel like that's bringing a lot of negative energy into the business. I don't think that
like you
it's
don't
very
want to think
productive.
about losing money.
I just don't think it's very productive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
99 vibe. Just write vibe on all of your tax forms.
Um, Still got 95 people. I mean, we're still rocking it at 2 a.m. We're doing great.
How you
Y'all are
feeling,
doing great.
Nathan?
How am I
You want?
feeling?
Yeah, you want to
It
start to
feels
wind
like,
it down, or are you still feeling good?
I mean, it feels like we just started.
All nighter.
You're like, all right,
All
Dan
right,
and Nick and
we're gonna stream till we get to 1 million subscribers.
oh shoot, man, we're dead. We will die here.
We will die on this stream. You guys better start subscribing.
Y'all ever see a dead body?
I
Let's
wonder how
go.
long. I wonder if I did a stream where I didn't stop until I reached 10,000 subscribers. If I would reach
10,000?
if I would reach it, like, would I die? Would we reach it, or would I die?
Oh my, man. The vibe that I'm getting is that it probably wouldn't be a very good stream.
It wouldn't be a good stream.
I feel like it would not be beneficial to your well-being.
So people having a conversation about that sort of like idea of like, why would anyone spend money on something if they thought it was going to go down? So the sort of idea of like, why are people still buying Pokemon cards if they think it's going to get cheaper and then they can buy it cheaper?
Okay.
Like that type of thing. And I think that for the most part, that's right. That like the vast majority of people, if you told them like you can get this exact same card if you wait 1 week or 2 months or 1 year, you could get it $50 cheaper. A lot of people would choose the $50 cheaper option. First of all, there's no such thing as a sure thing, though, right? That card could double instead of going down to 50. So that's the first thing to respond to that, right?
I mean, I guess. Okay.
There is no guarantee that it's going to go, that it's going to have in price. Okay. So, but putting that aside, let's say there was a guarantee. You're going to have a certain percentage of people who just want to own the card now and are willing to spend $50 extra to enjoy and have that card in their binder or their collection for another 6 months, right? For 6 months before. But that's gonna diminish the more expensive the card is and the more the difference in value would be, just sensibly. But of course, you're gonna have people who you're gonna have some people who are gonna open product and are gonna do more things that they would lose money because they for the fun, for the enjoyment. That's what I would say. What do you think, Mason?
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of people are just, they see prices going down and they think, finally, I can afford this thing that I've wanted. It's actually at a price point that I'm comfortable playing. And I want to get it finally. I think a lot of people feel that way. And for a vast majority of people that are just having a good time and just treating this like a hobby and not a damn job, that they're okay with spending the money, even if they know that it could potentially be cheaper down the road. That's what I think that is not great financial practices, but that is how most people operate.
Yeah, I know. I've always been someone who I just think, why not get both for me?
Yeah, sure.
Why can't I enjoy both at the same time? Like, why can't I get the card and also pay a really good price and see it go up? You know what I mean? So for me now, are there times when I'm really impatient and I just want something? Not really. Like, I guess it's also just such a huge hobby. But yeah, I am not like, I'm fine not opening any, like, there are people who like, I need to open Pokemon Go like right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have that. Like, I don't have that itch. Pokemon, I'll be able to open that set forever, for at least like the next 5 to 10 years at a very affordable price. So like, I'm in no rush at all to open it.
Right.
I'm in no rush at all to own any of the cards in it. I have endless cards to buy and goals, so there just isn't that rush to, like, ever pay for something if I feel like it's over not that I'm saying Pokemon Go necessarily is overpriced right now, but just using it as an example, like, I just don't have that. But if someone had that, I would totally understand it. They always want the newest thing and they want it right away. It's just not my nature, I guess.
Yeah, and like Alex just said, it sounds like a terrible way to use your resources, but to each their own. Again, uh, the fact that you're calling it a resource means that you're looking at it a completely different way than what most people are. This is like, extra income or disposable income to people. And they may not even know that it was cheaper or could be cheaper and was more expensive yesterday than it is today. They don't know that, maybe. So I think a lot of people put a lot more faith in people knowing the market than the reality of the situation. Even people that spend
Sure.
hundreds of dollars, $1,000 on slabs, they some people just don't care as much as you think they do, or that they should necessarily.
They
That's
don't
just
care, or like just as I said, like I don't know if that card's going to 50 or is double into 200. So buying
sure.
it now might be, you know what I mean? So there's also the element of like a lot of people who you might think if you're bearish on certain things are buying it and you're like, how could you possibly pay that it's going to have?
Yeah,
They probably think it's going to double. And
sure.
then, as Mason said, there's also a whole nother group who doesn't care, hasn't thought about it for a single second, or whatever. So it's a broad hobby, but
Right. I mean, when people open up or buy a booster box from me at $110, how many people or what percentage of people are thinking, is this a good value for $110? What is the odds of what's my uh potential value that I'm opening to equal this 110?
mhm.
I would say it's not even 25%. The vast
So
majority of my booster boxes are sold to people that just want to open product.
the only time, like, so do I get impatient with things? At this point, like, I can't remember the last time that I felt really impatient with some. Oh, I'm impatient with PSA. Actually, I've been patient for years, and now I'm really starting to want to send my cards out. I have such a huge grading pile that's irritating me. But we're talking about something different here. We're talking about like patience in buying. No, I'm very patient in buying. Um, Maybe early on, but I wouldn't say it was a lack of patience. I would say I was very bullish, so I was buying a lot.
Yeah,
I was buying everything. It never felt like it never I never have felt like this is probably a bad buy, but I like have to buy it because I can't wait or something like that. I don't remember ever feeling that. Honestly. Like it's just not and that might seem surprising because it's so black and white of just like how could you never ever feel that? But like I don't remember feeling that way about any purchase. Part of it's because there's just so much stuff. Like you can always just move to something else. If something becomes overvalued, just move somewhere else.
sure.
I don't know. Now, there probably are some examples I'm not thinking of where I, as a collector, paid a little bit up for something because I wanted to complete a set, but nothing's like very obvious is coming to my mind right now. It's part of why I have lots of incomplete sets still and incomplete things because I had to move to something else and eventually I'll go back to it when I feel like it's a good buy again. Everything will be a good buy again. Like that is how markets work functionally if you wait long enough. Like there will be a time. Now, that doesn't mean prices will come down. It just might mean that the market, all the other prices for things I've bought has now come up and now
Right,
the market's more established and now I'm comfortable buying it at this higher
right.
price.
A good buy could be more than it is today,
Absolutely.
2 years from now.
Absolutely. Like I might
So,
be
yeah,
buying more booster boxes at like $200 to $300, and I might think they're a much better buy than they were
sure,
at 95, 120, depending on the circumstances, just theoretically. So
correct.
yeah. So
It
you
has
gotta
everything to
change it
do
up.
with people's focus and
Mhm.
where the eyes are and the demand, the supply of it out there. all those basic fundamentals, and then the things that you can't predict, like, again, people's attention span and people's eyes on things, and where people are going to be focusing on collecting. That's all. And then how do you account for that? Well, you pick the safer bets if that's what you want to be doing. Again, my thing of, what you like is also what other people like, more than likely. The same thing. If you want to move on those safer things and worried about things going to zero, more than likely the things that are less likely to go to zero are things that people still want and have those types of general appeal that other things don't.
Kai knows where it's at. Very generous, Kai. Razz that off.
Absolutely. Richard says it's starting to smell like collector in here.
Gross collectors. Boo. We'll get Dan on here. We'll get a dirty flipper on here. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Will
everything be a good buy at some point? Man, what a statement. Again, goodbye is so subjective, and like, what's a good buy to you is not a good buy to me, and it's not good. I don't like. Yeah, I don't like the general nature of this.
Did I say that everything would be a good buy at some point? Is that my exact quote?
No, I don't think so. I think that's just Mertz's.
Because if I did, it might have made sense in the context I was talking about before. But there are things that like are never going to be as high as they are now. Maybe not in the Pokemon hobby, but like in the world, right? Like you could buy something that every second that you buy it was like every minute that you buy it is worse and worse and worse because it's headed to zero. Okay.
So Mertz said that yes, you did say that everything will be a good buy at some point.
I think I said everything can be a good buy at some point.
Oh, okay.
Right? Or sure. Can be, which is a totally different thing.
Again,
right?
And it's so subjective. Like,
because can be implies the exact point that I was saying. Will be implies that every single thing will have a buying point that makes sense, which is not necessarily true. But maybe I misspoke. But the points I made,
I don't think you did. I think it's just it's a silly thing to argue. I think a good buy. I think Mertz is also just being it's just participating.
But he's making a different point. I'm saying, I don't know, the truly rare stuff might just disappear forever if you wait, which sure, I mean, that's kind of, it's not what I was, so like, yes, like if you don't buy something now, it's possible that it won't come up for sale again, or the sale in the future might be so, it might be in a private collector and they might be asking someone and say so high that it never sells again. Or, it's like, I own a one of one that I'm asking like $50,000 and the market's at like $1,000 for that card and it might never get there. So it might never get sold. Like that's possible for items. Yeah, that's all I would say at that. But generally speaking, yeah, I mean, the point that is really important, and Mason articulated it really well, is that just to reiterate it, is that items that, like, I paid the highest price for plenty of items right before the boom that ever was recorded in this hobby. I spent $80,000 buying a lot of the highest recorded ever item because I felt the momentum and the change happening, and I felt like now was the best time. So it's an example of like where I was buying all along, but I could have sold a bunch of stock and bought it that a year or two earlier and gotten 10% less. I could have paid 10% less than I did or something like that. Right. But like, sure. The atmosphere and the environment wasn't that way. I didn't have to sell a bunch of stock and get in quickly because I didn't feel that urgency. when I felt that urgency, even if prices were slightly higher, then I was willing to do that. And so the market conditions changed, and so I changed what I was doing. So my analysis changed even at a higher price. That's just the point to understand.
So at the time that you were making the purchase, it was a goodbye to you.
Yeah, even though I was paying more than
Sure.
than a year ago and being more aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a better buy. I was buying some of them a year ago at less amounts, and I think those were worse buys. I think my best buys I ever made were the higher buys that I did right then because of my market analysis was really correct.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Mason? Because
Yes.
I don't judge. I judge my decisions based on how correct I am on my analysis.
Yes, but that's like Jedi levels of market analysis that you have that most people probably would not be privy to.
I mean, I don't know.
And also, looking back at it, you can say that more than,
Again, would have sold Evolutions at $400 and it went to 1,000. So
I did.
yeah, I
I'm
would.
I'm the guy. I'm the guy that did that.
I didn't
So
Jedi that one. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
I'm
but yes, but I
same.
mean, I think also to be completely honest and to be blunt, like the competition in this hobby is not like the competition I experience in the stock market or in large hedge funds who are moving millions of dollars. So a lot of people just didn't think of it like how I thought of it at all. Like very, very few people, if
Mm.
anyone, was thinking about it like me. I mean, even some of the other
Y'all hear
finance
that?
people who were flipping and reselling.
Y'all
Like
are making it easy out here on Jake.
I don't
Making it
think people
easy.
are thinking it that way. Whereas now there's a whole bunch of people and a whole bunch of channels and a whole bunch of people who are thinking about it more like that. And so I think that there was, when you're sort of first to market in that sense, you have a huge advantage, and it's not so much, um, yeah, it whatever. It'll be interesting as I go into some of these other fields to see how if I can compete. You know,
Can I ask you a non-specific question about that?
sure.
Did you then? I'm assuming you then took that thing that you purchased and sold it for more later on.
Took what? Sorry.
The thing that was a good buy,
Oh,
or do
I
you
mean,
still have it?
so I bought probably 20 PSA 10 gold stars. I bought um uh maybe 50 PSA 10, PSA 9 first edition shinings. Everything I possibly could for a few months in that spring summer before Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Um and um I sold 20% of it probably. So I still have almost all of it.
Okay. Wow.
And I mostly sold my unlimited base, my first editions commons and uncommons. I sold some top zone, I sold some card ass, but I sold some of everything. So the way that I handled it is I sold as much as I put into it of everything. So
Mm,
and then the things that I felt less good about, I sold a lot more. So if I put
sure.
$10,000, I sold at least $10,000 at the height of it to take all my money out of everything, basically, and at least break even. And then on the stuff that I felt the strongest, so the stuff that I felt the strongest about were the stuff I was talking about on my channel. Undervalued trophies like the world's promos, those have held really well in value. Some are still reaching all-time highs, some are around all-time highs, whatever. Gold stars holding really well. Like comparatively, right? I mean, sometimes we're seeing some new highs, particularly for in high grade. I held a bunch of Neos. I held a bunch of Shinings. Those have fallen. I probably lost 30% of my money, 30 to 40% on those. Those I haven't done as well.
Well, see, that's what I was gonna say. I was
Yeah,
gonna say, let's get meta with it. So, of that 80% of things
yeah.
that you did not sell, do you still feel they were a good buy?
Well, at the prices I paid, I'm still 5, 6, 10, 8 times, you know, up right now if I were to sell them. So
Okay, so
for sure. But at the time, yeah, I mean, if I could go back in time,
You'd be
If I could go
buying
back in time and
everything.
time everything perfectly, I would have
Everything.
just bought unlimited base set and then flipped it all at the high.
Right.
And Neo Genesis. I would have bought Neo Genesis first edition Lugias. Like, like I would have picked the few cards that, and then I would have bought like some Pikachu promos and some screams because of how quickly they can move. And I would have bought, but everything the stuff that I went heaviest in and the stuff that I held, generally speaking, went up the most. And then the stuff that I sold has held the best, generally speaking. Now that still means I've lost 40% in plenty of items, but 30 to 40% a loss in a vintage item is actually pretty good in this market. There's a lot of stuff that went down 60, 70, 80%. Now there are other things like in the original Nintendo EX era, which I have a decent amount of, that is around all-time highs. There are certain holos that I bought that I graded in PSA 10 that have sold for the first time in like the last few months and are selling like $400 or $500, and they were selling $20, before the boom. So those are at all-time highs, we could say, super low pop items. I don't know how deep the market is at $400 or $500 or if they're one-off sales, but I'll never know. Like, we'll see. I'm gonna be doing this for a long time. I'm trying to do this in other areas, and if I can repeat it a bunch of times, then I'll have more confidence that then I'll know how lucky I was. Right. So I think that, but I think it's a lot of luck. A lot of luck. It's just hard to quantify how much luck and how much of the timing. But I think that when you do what I do and when you put as much energy and effort into it, you're going to do better than the average. And so if the average does really well, you're going to do insanely well. And if the average does really bad, you're going to do bad, but not really bad.
Yeah, I think
That's what I would say. You can't do like amazing while everyone's doing terrible, in a market, if you're in the same market, like, unless you're scamming probably or doing something insane, so I don't know. So um
is chat getting feisty over here. What's going on over here? Y'all behaving? Oh well.
little MetaZoo talk. That point of the night, late night MetaZoo.
I mean, that's how you know we're getting gotta pull them back in with the MetaZoo talk.
Pokemon DNA. We're still going, man. Mason and I can go.
Oh, I mean, it's
You and I have had just conversations, the two of us, that we've been up
definitely.
to 4 in the morning just talking
Yes,
about life.
absolutely.
You guys are just witnessing it live.
Yeah. We could have this conversation not recorded, and it would be the same thing. Basic says MetaZoo hour starts now.
I've never sold even one card. I buy and my son can figure out what to do with the collection. I might
So
get to a point where I don't sell ever. So I'm not at that point financially, and I still have like big aspirations in the hobby, so I still need to like sell to fund those and to move stuff around. But if I ever like become really successful in like my career or something else, like financially, I might get to a point where like the money in Pokemon doesn't matter and like the amounts, and so I just don't sell because I am a collector and I just collect, which would be great.
Felipe is a great customer of mine. He buys a lot of things for me. I appreciate you, Felipe.
Go buy from Mason. He's a good guy. Support his.
Man, I tell you what, I'm getting blown out, man. Ever since going from just regular TCG player to TCG player direct, things are flying.
Can I go full on like Cardinal Shill? Where's my hat?
I was going to ask you to put it on earlier, but
I should be wearing it during this talk.
I feel
I don't know
like after the big Patreon shill that I would have earned a little hat wearing, but
Can I?
guess
Well,
not.
I want to be sponsored. So I want to put a Cardinal Gaming thing on my channel, and I want my own like link, my own code for 10% off.
10% off?
5%
Pokenomics?
free shipping. How about free shipping?
Whoa.
$2
Come on, Jake.
shipping.
Come on.
$5 shipping.
$5 shipping? I'd be taking an L on Battle Styles ETBs at that rate.
$1 off. $1 off on orders $500 and up.
Well, we can look into it. If I sponsor you, do I get free access to the Discord?
Do you get free access? No one gets special treatment.
Oh my god, I can't even get a special role? Can I get a special role in the Discord?
Definitely not.
Oh my god.
No, the Discord.
This negotiation's rough. I don't like this.
Yeah.
God.
But this channel's for sale. You can have the channel for enough.
Why would I want to buy your channel? It has a quarter of the subs that mine does.
Whew.
Okay, it's only a third, but
That's the truth.
yes, Pokemon DNA. If you buy $500 worth of Battle Styles ETBs, I will give you free shipping. How about that? MetaZoo is asking me if I have MetaZoo samples. I do have a Fresno Nightcrawler sample. Then it is on eBay.
Let's see. Are we at 10,000 yet?
I don't think so.
We're streaming until 10,000. Let's see.
I was thinking about getting that sample, sending it to PSA. I don't know.
So successful that money doesn't matter. Vibes. Yeah, that's the vibe.
That's the vibe. Then we can worry about the vibe when we're that successful.
How do you feel about the price of some modern cards versus vintage? Example, Shiny Charizard GX, same price as mint base set Zard. How do you feel?
Rattle, clip it. We're going to do it. We're going to do the thing where we talk about modern versus vintage.
That's all we've talked about the whole video.
Jake, should a Shiny Charizard GX be the same price as a mint base set Zard?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't feel particularly strongly about either of these cards.
What do you think there's more of?
Definite base set Zards.
You think so?
Unlimited base Zards or Shiny Charizards from Hidden Fates, definitely unlimited. I mean, I'd be stunned, like bowled over if there were more. Now, more in PSA, like in mint condition, that's a whole different discussion. You know, now more in near mint plus condition, that might be an interesting discussion, but more printed, not even close. Even if like there's very, very likely more base set printed than Hidden Fates was ever printed. Even though Hidden Fates was printed a ton, and the pull rates it's a joke. Like to compare the pull rates is not even close. So, you know, and the attrition rate, there's obviously a lot of those Charizards were like completely thrown away, but you know, not that many that it would make up the huge difference. I mean, that would be my answer. You think differently, Mason? I mean, I don't actually know for a fact, but
no. I have no idea. I was just gonna do the old SM Pratt tenant and see which wins this argument in that regard. Older is definitely base set Zard, so there's a point for that.
It's older.
Rarer, that's what we're just talking about. I don't know. That's the toss-up. Minter, I mean, the shiny Zard's got to be more mint, right? But which one is better? Damn. This is failing me.
You put
It
it
was
through
supposed to be a flawless way of determining if something is collectible and has value or not. It's almost like
you put it through the
these are just
equation.
suggestions and not actual rules. God, this sucks. I'll never be a collector millionaire now.
I think both, honestly, my honest answer to these is that they both have their positives and negatives. They're both good cards. And uh one is the key card in the hobby, but has just so much of it printed and is super easy to pull. And the other one is like one of the key cards in modern Pokemon. And which one do I think has more of a chance of being important forever? Obviously, the unlimited base set Charizard, in my opinion. I think now there are going to be people out there who say it's the other one. It's the shiny Charizard because they're like modern Pokemon's boring and stupid and people don't like it. And it's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like that's just not how hobbies work. I'm never going to agree with that. Only time will tell, and I could be wrong, right? I mean, nobody knows for sure. Like any demand can go any way. I just strongly disagree with that. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense. Um, but but because of the rarity difference and the difficulty to pull, um, they're close. I think so.
You think they're close?
Yeah, I think
So
they're
their
close.
prices being equivalent. Let's say they are equivalent. They deserve to be equivalent.
I think they're close. Yeah, close enough that it's not. I don't find it obvious which one. Now, if
Even
you
if
want Evolutions Charizard, that's a whole nother story. That card's garbage, and now that card is plummeted. I made a video, which I never released, when that card was selling in PSA 9 for $1,300. And the video was titled "The Worst, the most overpriced Pokemon card in market history." And I
ooh,
decided not to come out with it because I didn't want to I don't like talking about specific cards and tanking specific cards like that. Not that who knows how much effect my video would have had, whatever. But it was just the dumbest price I've ever seen for anything. If you had showed me that price at that time and versus the unlimited base art, I would have said both are very overpriced. But one is like Crazy Town, like $1,300. That's a $10 card, and it's Crazy Towns. It's craziness, right? That's selling for $1,300. That's a $10 card. $20 at the most. Um, and the unlimited Zard, which at that time I sold one for 6,000. I sold three for around 6,000 PSA 9 unlimited Zards, and that was crazy, right?
yeah,
But
sure.
those have gone down to 1,500. That's a 75% loss, or whatever on those. That's huge. But I think what's a PSA 9 unlimited Zard now, or evolutions now? 180, 90, even less. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean
I'm not sure how much it is, but that's
yeah,
if it's 100 and it was 1,300, I mean that's 90, 192% loss, right? We're talking about. I mean, we're talking massive losses, and it's way over. Like I'm still selling them because I still am getting Evolution Charizards back that I'm still selling into the market right now because I had 40 or 50 of them that unfortunately they didn't get back in time, most of them, which is part of why that price was so high then.
well, yeah, that's
The market's been flooded with them, and I'm still selling into the market at whatever price I can get. But whatever. But my point just being whereas these two cards have much better fundamentals, and I like the shiny Zard. In fact, if I were to buy one, if I were to speculate, I think I'd go shiny Zard. How about that?
wow.
Then an unlimited base Zard, I go shiny Zard.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, let's extrapolate that out. How about let's choose something a little more lower in price. Let's say the The Astral Radiance, Alt Art, Beedrill. You familiar with the card?
Yeah.
You know about it?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, that's a $40 card right now.
40. Okay.
Does that card deserve to be $40 versus let's pick another like older equivalent, like a WotC. What's something that's $40 that's equivalent to that?
PSA 9 first edition, or CGC 9 first edition, team like Here Comes Team Rocket Hollow.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Here Comes Team Rocket Hollow.
Okay.
It's an insanely undervalued card at $40 compared to that.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, or pick any first edition WotC Hollow. Then a Beedrill alt art, which should be probably $5.
Oh. Super hard to pull, Jake.
Let me
Super
take a
hard
look
to
at the
pull.
art. Let me take a look at the art, because I don't have the art in my head. Maybe I'll really like the art, and I'll put it up to $10.
So we'll say what a first ed. Let's do a first ed. What Hitmonlee? How about that?
A first ed Hitmonlee.
Sure.
I mean, the PSA 9 is going to be going for quite a bit more. Like that's more like 100.
Oh, how about raw? Raw.
Oh, raw. Oh, raw.
Sure.
I mean, I like buying mint stuff because I can grade it and sell it at a premium. So I'd probably go for the Beedrill and then
Don't.
the premium.
Yeah, okay. All right.
But in terms of not being able to flip stuff, yeah, I'm not really about buying like near mint stuff for speculation.
It's not about that. Do they deserve to be the same price?
No.
Okay, which deserves to be more?
The Hitmonlee.
Oh, that's a hard pull. That Beedrill's hard to pull. I've only seen like 2 or 3 of them.
I've only seen there's like 100 of them on.
You know how many pictures of first edition Hitmonlees are on Google? I've seen so many of those.
Let's see how many are in TCG Player being sold of the Beedrill already.
Oh, ooh.
So on eBay right now, I see at least 25 for sale.
Of the Beedrill?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look. Let's take a little peek here.
Buy out. Kid Terry says buy. Buy it out, guys. Buy those Beedrills.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a cool card. I really like the alt arts. I'm planning on owning a full set. If I end up being wrong and these all go up in price and they stabilize in price, I will pay, to our conversation earlier, I'll pay the higher prices.
Yeah.
So it's not, it just doesn't make sense relative to the rest of the hobby and what the hobby's done. Like people are in this sort of like alt art moment, like alt arts are the future. And the market has to prove it to me for like 10 years in order for me to buy it. And if
10 years?
Yeah, if the market proves it to me for 10 years, then I'll buy them at high prices and I'll pay whatever it costs. One of each. I'm not going to be speculating. I'm not going to be doubling up on these. But
of course. You got to diversify. I mean, come on.
One of each collection. When I only own one of a card, it usually means that I don't think it's that great. Like as a speculation. But I am a collector and I want one of everything.
Okay. There you go, guys. That's your modern versus vintage for this live. Catch the next one to have the same conversation again. Next week.
Every week, same conversation. But worse camera quality. We need to like decrease the camera.
Oh yeah, I can just I can get it out of focus again, probably. Try.
But yeah. I mean, it's just tough. Like I'm buying in the Star Wars market right now, and the Star Wars market is actually rare. Like these sets are actually short printed. These sets are serialized. It's a completely different market, right?
Yes.
And so it is comparing apples to oranges a little bit in that sort of sense, but it does give you some perspective of like what is rarity in Pokemon set collecting? like these are what are there 50,000 of these alt arts? Probably closer to 100,000 of these alt arts each. Who knows really? but it's that's a lot.
I said
I'm buying
that's a lot.
like
Yeah.
101s and 105s in Star Wars for less money. You know what I mean? So now it's Star Wars versus Pokemon, but it's just, or
We can
Marvel.
have that conversation too if you want.
Yeah,
All
my
right.
point is just like like it's really, you're depending very heavily on demand
All right,
with
we got
that sort of
Star
stuff.
Wars
And
versus Pokemon. All right, let's go to the tenants. Older. Which is older? Star Wars or Pokemon?
Pokemon.
Okay. Point for Pokemon. All right. Star Wars is more rare, you said, right?
Which card are we talking about here specifically?
Oh, I'm just saying. But why pin it down? Just
Well, Star Wars. I mean, their top Star Wars cards from 1977. So those are the earlier than Pokemon.
Oh, then point goes to Star Wars. That's 2 points for Star Wars because they're also more rare apparently. So
Star Wars. Okay, fine. Older, rare, mint are better. Older.
Yeah,
Star
which is more mint?
Minter. That's not a thing. I mean, it's just like.
Don't deviate from the tenants. What are you doing?
Pokemon.
All right, Pokemon. That's a point for Pokemon. All right. Better. Which is better, Star Wars or Pokemon?
Which ones?
Just on a broad appeal, which is better? This is how we have to do this. These are the rules.
His phrase is older, rare, minter, and so better. You
All
take
right,
it older, rare, minter, and better is one of the categories. Which one's better? All right, which one's better? Pokemon.
All right, that's a tie. It's 2 versus 2. They should be the same price. They're the same price.
Oh, they should be the same price.
They're the same price. They're equal across the board. Both are equally good investments.
Gotcha.
Well,
there you go, guys.
That's S. and Pratt's rules, not mine.
All right, MetaZoo versus Pokemon.
All right, yeah, all right, scratch it out. All right, MetaZoo. All right, older Pokemon, definitely. Point for Pokemon.
Yeah.
Rarer.
MetaZoo.
Yeah, that's a point for MetaZoo, definitely. Minter. Ooh. I don't know. MetaZoo's print quality has gone up here recently. It does look a little bit better.
Minter.
I don't know. I don't know. Does MetaZoo get print lines? Anybody in the chat? Do we have print lines in MetaZoo?
I haven't had print lines in my grading.
I mean, it sounded like this is going MetaZoo's way.
I've had centering issues, but mainly on the Kickstarter stuff.
It sounds like MetaZoo is.
Yeah. All right, MetaZoo.
Well, we didn't do better. Which is better though?
Which one's better, guys? You guys decide. Which one's better, Mason?
Pokemon is objectively better.
These are all objective measurements.
Yeah,
we're just running it through a scientific formula here.
Look, I didn't come up with these. All right, that's a tie again. What do we do now? All right, the equivalent, they're the equal value.
I don't.
MetaZoo and Pokemon should be the same.
Why is this not working better? That's what I'm trying to understand.
It's so easy.
I don't know what to buy yet.
This is supposed to be the way to figure this out and know which to put your money into.
Oh God,
this sucks.
How is it business? What are you supposed to do?
I guess I have to carry MetaZoo and Pokemon equally. If I buy 150 booster boxes of Pokemon, I got to buy 150 boxes of UFO. It's coming up.
Are you a partner?
I applied to be in their affiliate program.
Yeah.
And Mike Waddell sent me a message and said, "Hey, I noticed you applied to be no, it wasn't a partner. It was, what do they call that?
Partner program.
Social. Yeah. He's like, I know that you're really critical about MetaZoo. Why did you apply for this?
Have you been very critical on your channel?
I would say so.
Okay. So fair.
So fair, yes. I did not respond to that message.
So you're willing to be critical of us, but you still want to make money off of it.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though to Mike, like it's like, so you're willing, you think it's a good speculative play behind closed doors when you can get it really cheap, but in public you're gonna say it's bad or negative, right?
Correct. Yes, because how I'm function as a business is
I'm
important.
kind of on Mike's side on that. Like, I wouldn't give it to you.
Oh,
If you were coming out and saying lots of negative things about my game and then wanted to get like a really cheap partner pricing to sell to people, I wouldn't give it to you if I had enough people lined up.
yeah,
Why would I give that to you?
I get it.
Yeah.
My answer to that would be make a better game then. Like I don't know what to tell you.
No,
Like what?
I mean, I think it's fine. So if he was like vindictive or something to you because you said, you know, your opinion or those sorts of things, then I'd be like, that's unprofessional and you know, over the top. But if he's just not selling to you in a professional way, which he's is to me, that's just a professional decision. It's a business decision. I think that's reasonable. But
Sure.
whatever.
Oh, I'm not saying he's in the wrong. Absolutely not. I mean, do whatever you want. It's your game. But I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But I also get it. Sure.
people watch what you say. People watch what I say. People watch what we say. It gets around, or it gets around. People will be clipping things from this conversation, sending it around.
I hope so.
I don't want any drama. Leave me alone. Leave me alone, internet. That's why I come out here and put my face out here and all my
That's
opinions.
right.
I want to be left alone, isn't it?
I want to put my opinion out there and be watched by thousands of people, but don't give me any feedback whatsoever.
Yeah, I want the.
Hey, that's kind of like MetaZoo's play. So
that's fair. That's kind of what MetaZoo wants. I want to create a game and just get all positive feedback. No negative feedback. Pokemon DNA says you need to get Mike on the channel. Mike's been on the channel twice, I think.
Twice. Yep.
I'm sure he'd be down to come on again if people want to get him on again.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think it'd be fun to bring Mike on again in the future. I think it's too early, but I think wait to see how MetaZoo does for a little bit and then bring him on again would be fun, I think. If he's interested or willing to come on. Just to kind of talk about the ups and downs. Like I want to wait till we see kind of more ups and downs with a number of different sets and see kind of what happens. I think it'd be interesting then.
I actually like what UFO's doing. I think it's actually going to be a pretty good set.
Yeah. I'm planning on opening a few boxes. I enjoy MetaZoo, so have a good time. But my feelings have been made pretty. I've been transparent since the beginning on my feelings about it overall. And
I mean, yeah, you know.
So we don't need to rehash it, but
you know. I'm not changing my tone, XP. I'm just the first part was a joke and satirical, and now we're being serious. So that's how you close up a conversation. That's how we put a dovetail on the end of it. That's just.
Of course, Mason wants the cheap product. Dan wanted the cheap product. He's a partner program.
It's almost like, as opposed to me just lying to get the cheap product, I want to actually give them feedback to make the game better. And the cheap product.
So, I mean, the stuff I've seen you say about them, I've never seen you say anything that I felt was like ridiculous or unfair. But
not on my channel, no.
But I also I'm not sure, oh God. But in private, you've said some really negative things. You and I've talked a lot about MetaZoo. We've had positive conversation. You had some negative opinions really early, and then it kind of turned a little bit more positive. Maybe you're back to a little negative, a little up.
It's almost based on how well it sells. How I feel about it.
Well, that's
you might say how interesting.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a good way to do things. Hey. Mason will like stuff that sells.
You know, things that make me money, I tend to be a little more bullish on. I'll say that. Yeah.
You're not biased. That's literally though to be honest, that is why I started my channel in large part was to cut it because I just feel like it's so hard for sellers to not be biased in their views and to not and to come out. It's my opinion, a lot of my opinions are more hopes than they are actual market analysis. You know what I mean?
No.
It's you could come out with a video and you're like, Pokemon's not dead. It's well, it's more of a hope, you know. Because I run two LGSs. It better not be dead. You know?
Yeah. That's the end of the day. That's the last video on my channel is that. Then I just stopped posting.
But no, I think I mean, I believe I've had the same take on MetaZoo the entire time. I mean, I learned about MetaZoo a while before it launched, and through Squeaks and Radar, who learned about it through people who were involved. And I don't know if I should name names. I won't. I think I can name their names, but
Yeah.
um, and my take. I have the same take on it. I feel, I mean, the only thing that would change. I mean, my analysis would change in terms of now we've seen how the launch has gone and we've seen who's come on board. So my analysis would be like they have a higher percentage of succeeding now than they did like in the beginning, obviously. But I mean, that's a really obvious thing to say. But I think personally, I think Wilderness was a little bit of a letdown. Also coming in a poor time, in terms of the general TCG market. I think UFO will probably be stronger. I think the game seems pretty strong. The community seems generally pretty strong. Mike has really big ambitions and dreams to like make this compete with Pokemon as like a franchise, as like an IP. And
Yeah.
it's like that's phenomenal, but like obviously like there's a really small chance of that happening. Like even with all of the supporters to have like a massive cultural movement around MetaZoo.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
and
somewhat,
even
but it's not, and it's not. I'm not. They could do a perfect job, and it's unlikely.
yeah,
Like
and
you know,
even just because MetaZoo isn't successful for me does not mean that there's not LGSs out there that are getting 30, 40 people to show up every week to play MetaZoo. There could very well be. My results may not be equivalent to everybody across the board. Now, what I say, in my opinion, do I think it would make for an overall better game? Sure. I would have thought that you would want that information, but that's okay. You
yeah.
can
No,
also just
my analysis has been the same in just the sense that because I knew of the low Kickstarter numbers and their general plan to do these promos and print very low amounts. I've always, there's a reason why Marvel cards did so well, why PMGs. It's because there's a hunger for collectible art animated serialized stuff.
yeah.
Low actual rare stuff because Pokemon doesn't do any of that. There's a hungry market for that. There's a hungry sports market for that. There's a hungry crossover market for that. And what's going to fill that market? Okay, so and that's part of Star Wars. Your contenders right now are, in my opinion, some of your biggest now Star Wars and Marvel are not games, but I think some of your biggest contenders are Star Wars, Marvel, and then things like MetaZoo and some other things that are trying to come up and fill some of that space. So, but again, MetaZoo's a game; those two aren't games, so it'd be interesting to see how that all plays out. That's an interesting discussion, right? TCGs versus just collectible
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
cards and sort of, you know, I really enjoyed, I loved, being on the Pocket Change podcast with those guys because particularly Chris came from very different perspective coming from Magic and just very much not a believer in like collectability and really a believer in like playability. So we had lots of conversations about that.
Yeah, I loved it. It
Yeah,
was good stuff.
but yeah, it's all sort of been said there, but, um, all right. 13 more minutes.
You want to cut it off at 3? Okay.
Let's cut it off at 3.
All right. Rapid fire questions for 13 minutes.
Okay. All just questions. Okay. The question is MZ at the cookout or is basic just capping?
Basic is capping.
Answer
MetaZoo is just out of gas.
All right. What is your opinion on the trainer deck A and B cards? How rare do you think they are? I like them for their history of the game.
Oh, he just said to you, so I'm not even gonna answer.
Good.
No,
Good.
of course. Trainer deck A and B are cool. I don't think they have like a cool like historical value necessarily. I think they're a neat little piece, but I don't think they have like a mass appeal.
Yeah, personal opinion, they're cool. I don't see the mass appeal because they're just like the reprinted arts.
Yep.
I prefer if you're gonna go like niche or historic to get something that's like different or has its own sort of art. For me personally, that being said, like people like Rusty, Zach, Charlie, like a bunch of people have been in this hobby a really long time and have sort of owned and collected everything. They love this stuff.
Yeah, they like the oddities. They like the prototypes. They like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like you kind of would have to have everything in order to get into it. Like I feel like it's a little weird to like I don't own any base set in high grade or base set first edition or anything, and I just want deck A and B cards, and I'm willing to like spend up on them. That feels like out of order to me. It doesn't mean that there are going to be some people who do that. That's my sort of overall answer in them. All that being said, they're cool. I don't think that they're like way overvalued or anything. They're just not for me.
All right, next.
Okay. I'm not even going to read questions. If you could make your own TCG, what IP would you use?
Oh, that's a good one. Uh, ooh, man. I think if they redid the Fire Emblem series and did a better job about getting it to English, I think it'd do a lot better than Cypher did. I think that whereas even 5 years ago, there was not as much uh, interest in Fire Emblem than there is now.
It's a hard thing for me to choose because I feel equal about a lot of IPs. I think Harry Potter might be cool just because it'd be different. And if they did some like really cool art. But yeah, I mean the ones that come to mind: Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Harry Potter, and then like a bunch of animes that I like. That could be cool if they did some anime ones. They are doing One Piece, which I'll be interested in checking out.
Yeah.
Are you gonna get some One Piece?
Yeah, I'm in to on the pre-order for it.
Nice.
How much I get, I don't know, but
yeah. I'm interested in that. Kind of how that goes.
yeah, it's a standalone. It's not exclusive to any distributors, which is like refreshing. So we'll see how well it does. That helps a lot of just getting general interest right out of the gate. So I like that.
It's £150 for one rocket pack a good deal? Not if it's light. Mason,
You want me to talk about vintage sealed?
do you know what the current price of this is? And is $150 a good deal or not? It's euro. If this was $150, that's about what I think they're probably worth right now.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing right now, aren't they? Right, 150.
I think a light pack is worth about 150.
Yeah,
but dollars, not euro.
Sure.
So what's 150 euro right now? Like 180? I don't know, 190, something like that. 180 maybe.
Joe, just pay it and rip it right there in their face.
For an unweighed pack, that's a good deal. I mean, in current market, I'm not necessarily buying that, but okay. Metazul in doubt. That's not for us.
Yeah.
Is Jason Tatum overrated, Mason?
I think he's about where he's supposed to be at. I think, if I had a spec on him, the vibes I'm getting off from him seems to be generally positive. So
you get good vibes.
Yeah.
I think he's overrated. Coming from a Celtics fan, I think at this point in his career, he has been given. Now, part of it is hopefully his age. And
yeah, how old is he now? What is he?
He's only 24. The amount of responsibility on him is huge to carry a team, and to get to the finals is amazing. But that was an entirely Celtics team effort on defense. It was not like Jason Tatum, doing it by himself and like carrying a team to the finals on like his ability, like LeBron used to. It's just not that level. I think some people overrate Tatum. Probably mostly he's probably correctly rated. I think Tatum's a top 15 player right now. I don't think he's a top 10 player, and I think he will be a top 10 player
Yeah.
I think he might be a top 5 player, but
He's
there's
just
a
a
huge
baby
update.
still. He's still
So,
a baby.
and that's as a Celtics fan, but I think the magic of the Celtics right now is how hard they play and the fact that they're all big and athletic and they play amazing defense.
How many more years does he have with the Celtics?
He probably is still under contract for like 3 more years, maybe something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
I
You
mean,
build it.
likely they'll both resign and they'll keep it
Yeah.
going.
They'll build around him.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics made the finals this year. I mean, we're doing great. When we just added a Malcolm Brogdon, who's a borderline all-star if he's healthy, which is a phenomenal pickup for nothing. We traded nothing for him. So Celtics are in good shape. It'll be really interesting to see where Kyrie and Kevin Durant go. That's just a mess. Do you guys collect modern Magic the Gathering sets?
Didn't you say you were buying some Magic
Mason
recently?
doesn't collect. He only flips and makes money.
Oh, yeah. Flips only.
Uh, I
Didn't you say you were buying some Magic though?
I
Am I
don't
crazy?
collect like complete sets or anything or binders of Magic. I
Yeah.
have Magic boxes that occasionally someone comes over and we like play. Um, uh, I I think I have maybe like 40 Magic boxes, booster boxes. The box that I have the most of is Modern Horizons 2.
Oh, very good. No, yeah, I mean, what do I think of the collectability of it? Just real quick. I think Magic is doing a really good job about crafting sets better than they've ever done. And I think the planes that they're spitting out here are really interesting and quirky and weird and fun. I think they're really having a lot of fun making these worlds and the planes that they're recently doing. I think, generally speaking, from a collectible standpoint, that they are fun sets that they're creating. If they're good things to collect, like invest in, I can't tell you that, but um, I think they are well crafted and themed very well.
Did anyone buy into the Sorcery TCG? Not me. You, Mason?
No,
Anyone going to Long Beach Collecticon? I'm not. Are you?
no,
Okay. Nailing them.
zooming.
General thoughts on Heart Gold Soul Silver era of Pokemon 2-piece cards. So
Like the Legends,
the
Legends cards.
yeah, that's what he's talking. He has to be talking about that.
I love the Legends cards. They're fantastic.
Yep, they're sick.
I think they were extremely undervalued for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
That those things are like $10 a piece was a crime.
Yeah, they're really hard to pull. They're pretty hard to grade.
They're beautiful cards too.
Yeah, I was buying.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I bought. I tried to buy every 10 that came up for a while because and even sometimes on the Japanese side, you can still get some for really good value.
Yeah.
That would be the one tip I would add. The English is pretty expensive now. Are you both going to Denver? I'm going to Denver, and Mason's coming to Denver too.
Yep. I'm like 80%.
You're definitely coming, or friendship over.
Damn.
Pokenomics, you collecting the 2000 Star Wars Reflections? I am not. You, Mason?
No. No knowledge of them.
Is My Little Pony a good investment?
Probably not. And that's coming from a guy that bought My Little Pony from a store that was closing when I first started this business for like 50 cents, like an intro deck. So yeah.
Funny enough, I was hanging out with Rafi today. And for those who don't know, Rafi started this channel with me. I was hanging out with Rafi today, and he started collecting My Little Pony stuff, and he got one of the rarest cards in the world today. He paid like $500 for 2 trophy cards from it.
Now that's some niche collecting. That's some.
Bags. No, no, who knows? Yeah, I really don't know anything about it. I just know that there's some very rare cards, rare promos, very rare promos, rare items. It's a very small niche group, and he's been like emailing guys in it, and like some of the biggest collectors, like they're not even like talking over like Instagram or like Facebook, or like they like literally just like emailing each other back and forth. So I don't know. That's all I know. There's the
It's an interesting brand
yeah.
that has some broad appeal. It'll be interesting. Yeah.
Radiant cards.
My opinion on the Radiance cards. Very interesting. Very weird to see a busy hollow pattern like that. Kind of a weird thing to see. Just for them to not traditionally do crazy reverse cards like that. For them to spit out something that is like super like in your face. Kind of interesting. Makes it interesting. Um, I don't know what they'll do. I'm sure there'll be people that want to collect the set of them, as long as they keep pumping out, popular Pokemon. They can't be making Haluchas and Heatrans and expecting people to want to collect these though. They got to be doing, like they're doing with the Amazing Rares, pump out the Legends, all the other big popular Pokemon, and I think that will do a lot better for them.
I like them. I think they're cool. Similar to Amazing Rares, I would say.
Yeah.
What is TCG? Trading card game. Anything to add to that one, Mason?
Yeah. It's a game.
What's IP? Intellectual property. It
Uh-huh.
just means like the intellectual property is like behind a brand. Yeah. Kai. So when I talk about IPs, which I probably say things that you know use jargon or whatever. Yeah, that's what I mean. I just mean like the brand behind it. So, um, let's see. All right, we're at 3 o'clock. All right, we'll do the last questions here. Why is Jason Page good for the hobby?
um,
All right.
he's a very passionate and seems like he does genuinely care. I guess. Jake?
Very passionate answer. Yeah, I don't know. I know nothing about him. I've never met him. All I know is that I saw him at Collecticon. He's got a lot of energy. Seems to be having fun and enjoying himself, and he sang the theme song. I definitely have no issue with Jason Page, nor do I like particularly have strong interest in networking and forming a relationship with him. But it's cool to see him around. It's fun. Mason, you stocking Japanese cards?
Used to buy a lot of Japanese stuff. It is completely dropped off locally. I move most of that stuff on eBay now, or have been moving most of it to eBay. Yeah.
Sealed boxes or graded slabs?
I mean, grading cards is a big lie, so I'm getting sealed.
I mean, collecting, I like both. I guess if I could only do one, I would be graded slabs for sure.
Okay.
That's collecting. So yes, collecting. Okay. We're getting close here. Oh, they keep asking questions, you jerks. I'm just joking. Are you two a fan of the yellow border scene in the English cards? Do you think it'll ever change?
I don't have a problem with the yellow border. I don't know what people
Is that a thing
hate.
now?
Oh, yeah, because
People hate
Japanese
it.
cards have a gray
Yeah.
border, or they have the hollow that goes all the way to the edge of the cards for hollows and things,
Hmm.
and we just have the plain yellow border.
I didn't know
I'm
that
just
was like a big talking point now that everyone's saying they hate
oh,
the
it's
yellow
yeah,
border.
it's huge. Yeah, it's a big deal. Um, I am nostalgic for yellow borders. That's what I like seeing. That's what I'm used to seeing. So I guess I don't care. I guess aesthetically, yeah, Japanese cards. Like the Radiant Eevee has a big yellow border on it, whereas in Japan it has the hollow that goes all the way to the edge and with the gray border. So yeah, that is probably objectively better looking. But me personally, I like the yellow border because it's nostalgic.
I always liked the yellow border on certain cards more than other cards. Depends on the art. It's part of why I really like certain Japanese cards more better than the English, and vice versa.
Sure.
Oh boy. Current views on the market, real quick.
Singles still selling strong, very good. Sealed modern, still moving very heavily. Pokemon Go's going great. Yeah, everything seems okay for modern. What slabs are hit and miss, up and down. Some places less stable. I think it's kind of finding a settling point to where as we get more and more sales on them, that pricing just gets more and more established.
Yeah, I think that's basically good enough.
Both seem to be moving very well though, and have not really slowed down. Prices have maybe gone down, but still moving.
All right, 2 more questions. No more questions, guys. After 3:03 a.m. That's the last ones. All right, go to protein for the July.
Definitely, I'm doing. I don't know. Let's do like a chicken. Let's do something light. We'll do a nice chicken breast, like with lemon rosemary marinade. I'm feeling that.
Yeah, we bought a bunch of different things. So we're doing burgers, we're doing chicken, and we're doing chicken wings.
Oh, grilled?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Um,
Last one.
yeah, this is the last one. I think the best set in Certain Fields Evolving Skies. Does anyone agree? You agree? Agreed?
I agree.
Oh man, I don't know.
Jake, if you don't think Evolving Skies is the best set in Sword and Shield, you're crazy.
I don't know.
What is better?
Darkness Ablaze.
I don't know. I don't agree with that. That is not true. Don't
You
believe
guys
it.
can quote me. Darkness Ablaze better.
Wow. We're gonna see that in the chats for years now.
I think Darkness Ablaze is my least favorite set from the whole block. Like Battle Styles gets hated on, but I think Darkness Ablaze is my least favorite.
I don't know. Lost Origin might be actually a very good set. That's got a lot of heat coming. It's not going to be better than Evolving Skies, but
yeah, I mean, Celebrations pretty good, and Brilliant Stars. Those are probably the 3 that I think are. There's the only 3 that I think are really stand out. I like Fusion Strike, actually also, but not as good, I suppose. All right, fellas.
That's it.
Ladies.
We did it.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Mason, for hanging. Good to see you, man.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me along for the ride.
I'm glad we got a chance to catch up, and also put out some content in the process because I haven't made a video in like a week. So thank you for
sweet content.
Sweet content. Oh my god, there's damage on this card.
Are you going to open something to cap us off, or what are we doing here? What are you doing?
No, I'm just looking at cards that I have all around me that I have to go through and sort and eventually grade. It's like a disaster zone. That's a bummer, though. There's a dent in the back of this card.
Binder ding?
No.
Just random?
Yeah, it's one of these. It's a Star Wars card. There's a dent in it.
Is that like a gold leafing on it, or gold impression?
Yeah, it's like a gold leafing.
Wow.
It's one of these thick.
Oh God! Wow. Jeez.
But yeah, Mason and I are going to be doing some more collabs soon.
Man, we got something cool in the works.
We've got something fun in the works. So stay tuned for that. It might take a while.
Yeah, let's not like hype it too much because it might be a minute,
Yeah,
but yeah.
but otherwise, yeah, go subscribe to Mason's channel.
Oh yeah, I have a channel.
He needs help over there. He needs more subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
And
I also own a business. I own a business, cardinalgaming.com. Happy to ship to you.
And yeah,
that's it.
Thank you for hanging out with us as always. We really appreciate it. It's awesome, and it's just hilarious that we can have 100 people hanging out for hours talking Pokemon. It's sweet. So we appreciate you. Thanks for letting us do what we're doing, and we'll have more videos for you all soon. I don't think I have any like Patreon announcements or anything. Just thanks for the
the last Patreon with Rusty was absolutely amazing. I watched it back. I didn't catch it live, but
yeah,
it
was fun having him on.
What a sweet opportunity to ask Rusty literally any question in a live setting. Amazing. What a great gift. What a great value for the Patreon. Pokenomics Patreon. Patreon.com/Pokenomics_.
Thank you, Mason.
Of course. Thank you.
And I apologize for the the constant selling of it. Thank you to those who do it. All right, let's end there before we pass out. We made it 3:09 a.m. Pretty good.
Not bad. We did okay.
Pretty good. I feel like my streams with you always go the longest.
Nah, we could have kept going, but we put a cap on it. We started late. It's our fault. All right, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks, Jake.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.